Walsh. Do it today, Harrys.com, and stop settling for anything less than a shave from Harrys.com.
What's happening? What does it mean? Why is it important? We've got the answer. AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Dave Anthony. They still haven't ID'd even half the people massacred in Orlando.
It's just sickening. I couldn't imagine. A lot of my friends are missing their significant others,
50 were killed, 53 more wounded, and bodies are still inside the gay nightclub where it happened early yesterday morning. That's a vigil in San Francisco. There were other vigils across the country after the worst mass shooting in U.S. history.
It's very clear that Omar Mateen arrived ready for a gunfight. Came in about 2 a.m. with an assault rifle and a handgun. He was confronted by an off-duty Orlando police officer and exchanged gunfire there. Then he went inside the nightclub, and that is where the carnage really took place.
That's Fox's Leland Vittert in Orlando. A SWAT team stormed in a few hours later, and Mateen died in a gun battle. President Obama called what happened in Orlando
an attack on all of us and on the fundamental values of equality and dignity that define us as a country.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, President Obama will be briefed this morning by officials from the FBI and the Homeland Security Department. Some people in Orlando still wait to learn if their loved one died at the hands of Omar Mateen.
This was an act of terror and an act of hate.
The president called for tighter gun control during a statement at the White House, saying it's too easy for guns to fall into the wrong hands.
And we have to decide if that's the kind of country we want to be.
Law enforcement is going through Mateen's computer and other electronics to determine how he was radicalized and whether he was directed to execute the attacks. Dave.
And Rachel Mateen called 911 during his rampage to claim allegiance to ISIS. His ex-wife Satora Yusufi says,
a few months after we were married, I saw his instability, and I saw that he was bipolar and he would get mad out of nowhere.
Hours after the massacre, an Indiana man was arrested in California with rifles and chemicals to make bombs in his car. He told police he was headed to an LA Pride event. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Some clouds in Chicago this morning. We're tracking storms across the Midwest, but none here right now. Ready for a partly sunny day with a high near 82. It's 59 right now. Authorities say a 15-year-old boy has been killed in Chicago Heights. Police and Cook County Medical Examiner's Office say they responded to a call of a person down behind an abandoned home. And then they found Timothy Boyd unresponsive with multiple gunshot wounds. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel says the city will not be intimidated, his words, after a shooting inside a Florida nightclub that left 50 dead. Emanuel said in a Sunday statement he looks forward to celebrating the city's Pride Parade on June 26th. Chicago police will increase security, particularly in neighborhoods with gay bars and establishments. David Sotomayor spoke during a vigil held last night in Chicago.
We stand strong and proud, and they are not going to ruin our pride ever.
Police officials say they're stepping up the police presence out of an abundance of caution as the attacks happened at a noted gay nightclub in Orlando, and not because of any information regarding any threats in the city of Chicago. Former Illinois Governor Pat Quinn launching a petition drive this week to impose a Chicago mayoral term limit and create an elected consumer advocate position. Chicago Democrat announcing efforts, tipping his hat to his past signature drive, saying if he gets enough signatures, the referendum could be on the ballot as early as November. An off-duty Chicago police officer and a Chicago firefighter receiving high praise for their rescue of 5 on Lake Michigan. Donovan Jackson, a detective, and firefighter Rylensky Strong were jet skiing when they came across a capsized boat past weekend near South Lakeshore Drive. They transported each victim to shore where emergency crews were waiting. No one was hurt in the incident. Fallen tree blamed for causing a major gas line fire in Northbrook. Blaze burned for hours after a tree broke power lines and a gas line on Keystone Road. Many homes, nearby homes, were evacuated while crews put out the flames. Cubs over Atlanta 13-2. Kansas City beat the White Sox 3-1. Your Pittsburgh Penguins, Stanley Cup champions. Pole sitter Joey Logano wins the NASCAR Sprint Cup race. And a late goal lifted Peru over Brazil 1-0. Brazil is out of Copa America. USA starts knockout phase play in that tournament on Thursday. The news service of Subway. Something irresistible at Subway restaurants. The steak and cheese footlong with tender steak and melty cheese, topped with your choice of fresh veggies for just $6 all through June. Subway, fresh is what we do. Limited time only. Additional charge for extras, including deluxe subs, plus applicable tax. Prices and participation may vary. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
It finally feels like summertime in Chicago. The weather is warm, but the news, it's even hotter. So whether this will be the summer of Trump,
Hillary is very weak. I think she's pathetic.
Or the summer of Hillary,
the Republican nominee should never get near the White House.
One thing's for sure.
We're going to have a very contentious campaign.
The temperature will reach 560.
We need a tough tone in this country, folks.
AM 560.
She can't even handle her emails. How can she be president?
The Answer.
On AM 560, The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
5:06 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center this morning. Latest with Jim Talamonte. Good Monday morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mike. 53 has reopened now at 390 after overnight construction, but on 390, Elgin O'Hare, the ramps to 290 remain closed until 8 this morning. Westbound Thorndale remains closed there from Park Boulevard at 290 until 6 a.m. Northwest Indiana, Calumet Avenue is closed south of Ridge Road from Fisher and 45th Avenue doing gas main work. That is till 3 o'clock Monday. Crash on the northwest side of Chicago, Milwaukee Avenue at Armitage. Kennedy is looking good now in both directions. No delays to report on the Edens, the Eisenhower, the Stevenson, or the Ryan. Adams Tollway westbound. There's boarding work. Elmhurst Road to Bussey in the left lane. Barrington Road to Higgins in the right. Traffic is a service of CiCi's Pizza. Can you believe it? CiCi's now has 3 stuffed crust pizzas. Original pepperoni, new pretzel, and new bacon stuff. Try them all on your other CiCi's favorites for just $5 and change. CiCi's buffet just got better. Believe it. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Partial sunshine today with a more humid afternoon, high 87, then a shower or a thunderstorm tonight, low 65. Couple of showers and a thunderstorm tomorrow and tomorrow night, humid with a high 82 and a low 69. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Our updated temperatures, 58 at O'Hare, 58 along the lake, 61 at Midway. Your next news update is at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour Radio Show, Saturday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer. Brought to you by Pure Shale Financial Group.
Good morning. Welcome to your Monday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Oh, God. The terrifying scene, the night of partying turning into tragedy. Bullets flying.
Everyone was screaming and jumping.
Witnesses bolting for the exits, scrambling for safety. The club itself telling everyone to get out and keep running.
There was bodies everywhere. I really didn't. In the parking lot, they were tagging them red, yellow, so that they know who to help first and who not to help first.
The FBI first became aware of Martin in 2013 when he made inflammatory comments to coworkers alleging possible terrorist ties.
We've reached no definitive judgment on the precise motivations of the killer. The FBI is appropriately investigating this as an act of terrorism.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
A solemn Monday here at AM 560, The Answer. I'm Amy Jacobson, and filling in for Dan Proft today is John Cass.
Good morning,
Amy.
You
couldn't have picked a busier day to join us. I mean, we had the most deadliest mass shooting in American history, 50 dead at that gay-packed nightclub in Orlando. And we're learning this morning what happened overnight. FBI searched the gunman's home. He lived in Fort Pierce, Florida, with his sister and his brother-in-law, and he had a 3-year-old son. And they're checking that house to see if he has any ties to radical Islam, if he was inspired by anybody, if this horrific act was funded by any Islamic terrorist group. So they did that overnight, and they also removed bodies from the Pulse nightclub, the remaining bodies that were there. And people described it as just gruesome. One woman who had been hiding for hours, almost for 24 hours, was underneath bodies that she was in the bathroom, and she put dead bodies on top of her to protect herself. We're also learning this morning that the band that was performing, because it was Latin night, they escaped out of an air duct, and the SWAT team removed the air conditioning unit so that they could crawl out of there. I mean, there's just so many tales of heroism and just horrific stories that it's really hard to process.
And yesterday, when there wasn't a lot of detail, what filled in the vacuum of incomplete facts was political spin. And
all the politicians were there. Did you see it?
Yeah,
I was glued to my TV seat. Every congressman in Florida. Heck, I even think they came over from Georgia.
And
the
two
senators, the governor, everybody was there.
And they were saying things like, I'm speaking, but this is not an official comment that I'm making.
I know.
I could not understand that. I had about 4 hours of it. I got fed up.
Did you have to take a break?
Yeah, you know what I did?
Take a break.
I went out in the garden, and I just planted... I just worked in the garden for a while and tried to put that in perspective. All this, and wrote about it today. All this stuff that I was hearing, the politics, Obama, the president, not pushing for gun control. Oh, this is a good time to push gun control. Trump pounding his chest, saying I was right about Islam, and all the people in between. Hillary not saying Islamic and terrorism in the same sentence. It was all very, very interesting.
And the president didn't mention it either. He called this a hate crime, a terrorist attack. Those words simply cannot leave his mouth.
Although it's still early in the investigation, we know enough to say that this was an act of terror and an act of hate. And as Americans, we are united in grief, in outrage, and in resolve to defend our people. We are still learning all the facts. This is an open investigation. We've reached no definitive judgment on the precise motivations of the killer. The FBI is appropriately investigating this as an act of terrorism, and I've directed that we must spare no effort to determine what, if any, inspiration or association this killer may have had with terrorist groups. What is clear is that he was a person filled with hatred.
Well, yeah.
No,
I mean, is he homophobic? Is he a jihadist? I was calling him the homophobic jihadist.
Is he gay?
That's what I was thinking.
He was beating up his wife all the time.
And speaking of his ex-wife, we heard from her last night. Again, she said that she left him because he had beaten her. She moved to Florida for him, but she said he was never overtly religious, and that he came home one day. He came home from work one day, and the laundry wasn't done. And that's when he first beat her.
Instability, emotional instability, sickness, he was mentally unstable and mentally ill. That's the only explanation that I could give. And he was obviously disturbed deeply and traumatized.
And he told, NBC News got a quick interview with his father. His name is Sadiq Mateen.
Wasn't religious at all.
And he said that he apologized for the whole incident. We weren't aware of any action that he was taking. We're in shock. But he also mentioned, he threw this in there, that he was angry when he saw two men kissing in downtown Miami a couple of months ago, and that is what set him off. So he was saying, whether it's not Islam, it's not jihadist, it's not a religious aspect, it's a homophobic aspect.
But then he also picked up the phone, called 911, pledged his allegiance to what is his name?
ISIS.
Baghdadi, that creep over there in ISIS, and started saying Allah Akbar when he started pulling the weapon, the trigger. So the issue is, to me, and what I wrote about is that why do you scrub Islam? I don't want a war with Islam, but he scrubs Islam, the president, from this discussion. And we know that these self-radicalized nutballs are, in San Bernardino, Colonel Hassan, remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Workplace violence.
Fort Hood.
Yeah, workplace violence.
He was on the FBI watch list, too, by the way. There's some 800-plus people on the FBI watch list. I don't think they're doing a great job because the FBI knew this guy. They talked to him 3 times, and at 5:35, we're going to be blessed to have Bill Gavin here. He's a former FBI assistant director, so we'll get into that aspect of the story. But what we learned overnight is how this unfolded. So we are learning from police. They had a press conference at 2:30 this morning, and of course I was up watching because I'm addicted to the story. But he said that at 2 a.m. the shooter tried to enter the Pulse nightclub, and there was an off-duty Orlando police officer working security there. He had a fight with him, but he was manhandled, and that's how Mateen got into the club. And he originally started shooting, and it was just horrific sounds. Because he brought with him a handgun and an assault rifle with a high-capacity magazine.
Well,
and
there are a lot
many rounds. So people, when they first...
He changed magazines twice or 3 times. Mm-hmm. He knows how to shoot.
Yeah.
All right? Florida is a concealed carry state.
And he had a concealed carry permit.
But there were you don't have concealed carry for an AR-15.
No, you don't.
So he's walking around shooting.
Yeah, but people thought it was part of the music, part of the show.
Yeah.
So they didn't react too quick. There's 350 people in that nightclub.
Did you ever notice they never do this in Texas?
No, well, they used to. Remember Lubby's?
Yeah,
the
cafe
tried. Shooting, and one woman had a gun in her bag and she couldn't get it out. And that was one of the...
if you try it in Texas, generally speaking.
Well, so people hid, and then people were held hostage for about 3 hours. They were in a washroom, and I actually think that he probably just ran out of ammo, and that's why. Conjecture on my part.
Yeah.
And I also thought that he might have planted all the ammo before at a certain time, because how do you bring in 150 rounds? Because if you do the math, in a
bag.
You're like this in a duffel bag,
duffel bag, or like gym bag or something.
312-642-5600. We'll be taking your phone calls all morning long. You can also text us at 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. And also, what we're learning overnight is that of the 53 injured, 50 of them required surgery. And it is a blessing that only a block and a half away from that nightclub was the only level 1 trauma center in all of Orlando. And all those doctors, it took six doctors for each gunshot victim. And they tried their best, to help people survive. But most of them had to get operations.
Fatalities still numbered at 50, or is it?
It's still at 50. So a third of those inside didn't make it out alive. And that is just sickening. But it was also sickening. Omar Mateen, he worked as a security guard. He worked at a posh golf resort. It was a gated community. And people were horrified yesterday when they learned that, oh, my God, that's Omar. We see him every day. He's always armed. He's always pleasant. What went wrong? Why did he snap?
The president the president got the briefing knowing that he was a security guard, therefore he could get access to guns because he had been, taking these tests and so forth. Why did he make the pro-gun control kick right then when he had that other information? Because his agenda was on the road. Yeah, but he was pushing his agenda just like Trump was, just like all of them are. And it's just amazing to me. The bodies hadn't even come out of pulled out. We still didn't pray for the dead, and already the politics begin.
That voice belongs to John Cass. I'm Amy Jacobson. Your phone calls coming up. We're here all morning long. 312-642-5600.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one. Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Weather forecast, it was hot, then it was cold. It's like we're all going through menopause here. John Cass, what's the forecast going to be like today?
All right. Today it's going to be warmer with partial sunshine, more humid this afternoon. High of 87. My tomatoes will love that. Tonight, mainly cloudy with a shower or thunderstorm, low of 65. And tomorrow, mostly cloudy and humid with a couple of showers and thunderstorms. High of 82, low tomorrow night, 69. But that's a long time from now. And right now we have Jim Talamonte with the traffic.
Well, good morning, John. Good morning, Amy. Have some road work cleared up on 53. It was shut down at 390, the Elgin O'Hare, during the early morning hours, but 53 is open again. But the ramps to and from 53 and 290 from 390, those ramps are still closed till 8 this morning. So eastbound or westbound on the Elgin O'Hare, no getting to 53 or 290 via those ramps. And Thorndale's blocked westbound, Park to 290. In Munster, Calumet Avenue is closed south of Ridge Road, and Fisher and 45th Avenue for gas main work till 3 this afternoon. All clear on the Edens, Kennedy fine. Same goes for the Eisenhower and the Stevenson. Mount Ryan, a little congested approaching downtown. Tollways look good. No delays to report on I-80, 8094, the Indiana Toll Road. I'm Jim Talawanti of the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
You can hit it, run into it, knock it over, and it still won't fall over. What is this, you ask? It's the Wobble Light by ProBuild. It's a self-righting, portable, and virtually indestructible industrial work light. Ideal for applications requiring temporary high-output lighting for construction, manufacturing, utility, and much, much more. The Wobble Light, the brainchild of ProBuild Professional Lighting, is the only self-right job site light available in the market. If you're in an industry that requires professional-grade portable lighting, turn to Chicago's very own ProBuild Professional Lighting, manufacturers of portable job site lighting, designed for the pros. To view their catalog and much more, visit ProBuiltLighting.com. All lighting products are sold through construction, industrial, and electrical supply distributors. So ask for the Wobble Light by ProBuilt Professional Lighting. Visit ProBuiltLighting.com. A proud supporter of Operation Support Our Troops America and AM 560. For customer service, call 877-707-0800.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Mark Weingart, President and CEO of Star Creations, Inc., the fastest growing supplier of wall decor products in the U.S. When it comes to banking, I don't want to be a small fish in a big pond. That's why I bank at Signature Bank Chicago. At Signature Bank, every customer is important. I know I can pick up the phone and talk to any one of the decision makers I know and trust at Signature Bank. At Signature Bank, they understand and respond to the unique needs of my business with flexibility and fairness. I'm proud to bank with Signature Bank because I know they're deeply invested in the success of Star Creations.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Change in the market shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. In fact, since World War II, we've seen a correction on average about once every 18 months. That's why Arlington Capital Management developed proprietary tools that help them to see what's beyond your investment horizon. Like an experienced ship captain uses tools to avoid stormy weather, Arlington Capital Management uses tools to guide you through market corrections before it's too late and help us decide when to capitalize on opportunity. Call Arlington Capital Management today at 855-471-5796 to learn how their active management systems can help you. Each day, they actively explore the market, our economy, and all the variables that affect your investments. Stormy markets never cloud their vision. The professionals at Arlington Capital Management use their tools and experience to guide them. Call Arlington Capital Management today at 855-471-5796 for a financial review. The number again is 855-471-5796 or learn more at arlington-capital.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. Our text line is 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. We're honored to have John Cass here today, who's filling in for Dan Proft, and what a busy day it's been. I mean, we have 50 lives taken in an act of hate, or was it an act of terrorism? I mean, I'm still not...
A lot of spin coming.
Yeah, and I'm still not convinced, because I think that this guy was a terrorist wannabe. I mean, think about it. We're learning this morning that the FBI said he went in, he started shooting, and it wasn't until 20 minutes after the first shot was fired that he called 911 from the bathroom and declared his allegiance to ISIS, and then mentioned the Boston bombing brothers and talked about that. Now, the full extent of their conversation, they're not disclosing to us, but they did at least admit that he called to claim. So to me, it's like he's some loser.
That's the point.
Who's a wife beater.
But that's the point, Amy.
What do you mean?
Because the point is, ISIS is not getting a cell together and they're not coming over here like, it's Jack Bauer in 24. They're not in beige vans coming across the border. These are the push is to radicalize losers and people like this and give them the pretext to start going nuts. That's the problem. And if you can't say Islamic and terror on one side, and if we can't say, it's just there's a lot of spin on from both the right and the left, and I'm seeking for middle ground where we can have a discussion, a real discussion about this problem. That's why I'm glad I'm on with you, Amy.
And left with tears on their hands as the mothers who lost some sons.
My son hasn't been heard from, so I don't know if he was left in the club, if he got shot, or if he's being worked on here. I don't know. It's terrible. He's my only child.
It's just... As an American, it's hard. As a mother, it's even harder to hear all these mothers. And they had to wait 4 hours to find out because I kept checking back in. Did Christina, that woman you just met, did she lose her son? And she did lose her son, Christopher.
You know they don't want to clear a crime scene.
I know.
Good detectives never want to stop that crime scene. They don't want to close it down because there might be something.
All right. Let's go to the phone lines. Here's Bob, who joins us from the north side of Chicago. Good morning, Bob. How are you?
Yeah, how you doing? My comment is that the entire security and law enforcement apparatus has been rapidly deteriorating. Every year Obama's been in office. I don't remember, you correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember a terrorist attack under Bush. And I'm not saying I'm a fan of Bush, but this has been unbelievable. It's disgusting and it's disgrace, and it's all due to political correctness.
You never heard of 9/11?
9/11 happened, Bob.
No, 9/11. I meant since 9/11. I don't remember a terrorist attack like this.
Well, this is the deadliest terrorist attack since 9/11.
Right.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but my point is...
But I don't think President Bush would put Islam and terror in the same sentence either.
You don't?
I don't think... you know what I mean?
I don't remember...
Yeah.
I don't remember if he put Islam and terror together. The point is that this president doesn't. This president has an agenda to ram political correctness down our throat. And what is so disgusting about this is that the people that he claims he's advocating for, such as homosexuals and stuff, they're getting killed. This is not a hate crime. This is terror. And until we start recognizing this, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. I just want to mention, there's reports now that one of his friends who worked with him as a security guard said that they wanted to fire him, but they didn't because he was Muslim,
right.
This individual.
And he slipped through the FBI 3 times, and we're going to have former FBI Director Bill Gavin on at 5:35, so that in just a few moments, and he can help answer that question.
I would ask him seriously, what the heck is going on?
We will, Bob. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bob, for your call. Let's quickly go to Ed, who joins us from Oak Brook. Good morning, Ed.
You know what? Obama's been lying to us all along, and of course he has. But the idea that the FBI was aware of this guy and they couldn't do anything about it, and then Obama wants to bring in, another 300 to 1 million more like this, or they said they're going to be vetted. They're just lying to the humorites out there, and we're not all buying it. Yeah, but just slam down our throat.
This kid was born in the United States of America.
Yeah, he was born in New York, but his parents are from Afghanistan.
Right, so he was born in New York, so he knows about the Jets and Philly cheesesteaks and stuff like this too.
Exactly.
Right? He didn't grow up on a mountain thinking about the goats and all that, right?
Right. Quickly, let's go to Randy in Crown Point. Good morning, Randy.
Morning, guys. Look, the reality is Trump is correct, and the media and everybody that is against Trump has totally destroyed his comment. We do need to screen the Muslims better before they come in. He never said ban Muslims. And people that got on this train that he said ban Muslims.
He said a temporary ban on Muslims, Randy. He did.
That?
He said a temporary ban on Muslims.
First he said ban them, then he changed it to temporary.
The term is temporary. We got to stop this.
This kid was born here.
Amy, this is the part of media we don't like. We parse things. We don't take them for their word. He said a temporary ban. Temporary ban does not in any way signify that he does not want Muslims in this country. And he finished the statement by saying a temporary ban until we can figure out how to get it right with screening.
All right, thanks, Randy, for the call.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Imagine a corporate or group event that's new, cool, and fun. On Target Range and Tactical Training Center offers event packages with instruction, time on the pistol and rifle range, plus a state-of-the-art virtual reality training simulator used by the Army and police. You'll even get to fire exotic and historical guns from your favorite movies like the .44 Magnum.
The most powerful handgun in the world.
With the exclusive 5-star rating from the NSSF, On Target is Chicagoland's premier shooting destination for corporate and group events. No FOID cards or experience are required. On Target is in Crystal Lake. Visit OnTargetSite.com or call 815-477-2020. And right now, On Target is offering 10% off corporate or group outings by mentioning AM 560. Restrictions apply. That's OnTargetSite.com or call 815-477-2020.
Go ahead. Make my day.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, former FBI Assistant Director Bill Gavin will be here. FBI knew about Mateen, and they talked to him 3 times, yet he could still be allowed to work security, even for a company that was a government subcontractor, believe it or not. But first, let's go back into the newsroom and say good morning to Mike Scott.
59 degrees. We had winds right now north at 3 in the country, reeling from the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history by a man who called 911 from the scene to profess loyalty to ISIS. Dozens of bodies slowly removed overnight from a popular Orlando, Florida gay nightclub where authorities say suspect Omar Mateen went on his terror rampage. 39 died in the club, 11 more at nearby hospitals. The security company that the Orlando nightclub worker worked for says it found nothing of concern in its latest background screenings of him. Omar Mateen worked for the global security firm G4S. The company says Mateen underwent screenings in 2007 and 2013. The FBI is looking into possible ties between the gunman and ISIS. There are reports that Mateen called 911 and swore allegiance. Now, Sadiq Mateen, his former wife, tells Fox News he does not know why his 29-year-old son, Omar Mateen, shot and killed 50 and then spoke out with the other reporters nearby.
I knew as much as you do about him. I didn't know. If I did know this, I would have called myself 911 and I would have told the police officer to take him.
The ex-wife of the gunman says he was mentally unstable and mentally ill. President Obama ordering American flags to be flown at half-staff to honor the victims of the Orlando massacre.
We know enough to say that this was an act of terror and an act of hate. And as Americans, we are united in grief, in outrage, and in resolve to defend our people.
Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump will speak about the terror event at an Orlando nightclub today. Hillary Clinton will also likely address the shooting at an event in Cleveland. This morning in New Mexico, authorities are looking for a man who's accused of fatally shooting his wife and 4 daughters in their family home. Police are searching for Juan David Villegas Hernandez, who killed his family, then fled in a car. Authorities say a 15-year-old boy has been shot and killed in Chicago Heights. Police and Cook County Medical Examiner's authorities say they responded to the call of a person down behind an abandoned home late Saturday night and found Timothy Boyd unresponsive. A fallen tree blamed for causing a gas line fire in suburban Northbrook. The blaze burned for hours yesterday after a tree broke power lines and a gas line in the 3000 block of Keystone Road. Cubs over Atlanta 13-2. Kansas City beat the White Sox 3-1. The Penguins beat the Sharks to win the Stanley Cup. The news service of CiCi's Pizza. Can you believe it? CiCi's now has 3 stuffed crust pizzas, original pepperoni, new pretzel, and new bacon stuffed. Try them all and your other CiCi's favorites for just $5 and change. The CiCi's buffet just got better. Believe it. 5:33 and a check of traffic and weather next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher is dumbfounded by the anti-Trump protesters.
Trump supporter being pelted by eggs, pregnant woman being knocked to the ground. Are you ready for this? Not one arrest. How do you beat people and commit these kinds of acts of anarchy and not an arrest? And still waiting for the media to react appropriately, we're going to wait a long time.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Want B-dubs on the go? You've got options. Call in your order or head to BuffaloWildWings.com and pick up at your nearest B-dubs location. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Congratulations to all who took the Balance of Nature New Year's Challenge. Success stories are pouring in. So many people have been helped through this incentive that I have asked Balance of Nature to continue this challenge for as long as possible.
I'll tell you what, this stuff is great. I haven't gotten sick. Everybody around me is coming down with that laryngitis, and it seems like it's all over the country. It's like a respiratory tract infection, and people lose their voice, and then it goes away, and then it comes back like 2 weeks later, and it's worse. I teach in a school. Half the teachers here, are sick. They're miserable, and I haven't gotten sick, and I swear it's this stuff. It's this fruits and veggies I'm taking.
Good health is just a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Call now and take the health challenge to get a free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
When you're a kid, monsters live under your bed. When you're a grown-up, monsters come in the mail. Bills. But by refinancing your mortgage with Quicken Loans, you could save hundreds of dollars each month. Money you can use to shrink those monstrous bills down to a size that's not nearly as scary. To learn how, call 800-QUICKEN today or visit us online at QuickenLoans.com. Here's one more thing that can help put your mind at ease. For 6 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction. And for the second year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in mortgage servicing. Call us at 800-QUICKEN and buy in. Again, that number is 800-QUICKEN. Quicken Loans. Home buy, refi, power. Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
5:36. Let's get an update on the roads in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. At O'Hare, traffic is now heavy on westbound 190. Stop and go from the Kennedy to the Tri-State. Main lanes of the Kennedy Expressway are still fine. No delays to report on the Edens to the Eisenhower yet. Stevenson looks good. Mount Ryan, stop and go. Cermak, Burns Circle, 18 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tollways are fine for now. There is road work on westbound Thorndale, Park to 290, that is closed, but 53 is all open again after the earlier road construction at Thorndale and at 390. Traffic is a service of Triton College. Take a new look at Triton College with their award-winning faculty, proven student success, exceptional programs and services, and cutting-edge facilities, along with multi-million-dollar upgrades. Isn't it time you took a new look? Visit triton.edu. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Warmer day, partial sunshine, a little humidity returns for the afternoon with a high near 87. Currently 58. Your next news is at 6. Continuous news coverage at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next with Tribune Page 2 columnist John Cass in for Dan on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Revealed with Randy Barcella. Heard each and every Sunday at 8 a.m. on AM 560 The Answer.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11 right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Welcome back. John Cass sitting in for Dan Proft this morning. And apparently this shooter, Omar Mateen, and I even hate to use his name, but the FBI knew who this guy was. They investigated him in 2013 after coworkers said that he was making terrorist-based comments. Exactly what that is, well, I'm not sure, but they were fearful that he would kill mass amounts of people in a terrorist attack, and that's exactly what he did. Then in 2014, they interviewed him again because he was referencing and had some friendship with the first American suicide bomber over in Syria. So they had two run-ins with him, and yet he was able, of course, to commit that horrific crime.
The FBI first became aware of Martin in 2013 when he made inflammatory comments to coworkers alleging possible terrorist ties. The FBI thoroughly investigated the matter, including interviews of witnesses, physical surveillance, and records checks. In the course of the investigation, Mateen was interviewed twice. Ultimately, we were unable to verify the substance of his comments, and the investigation was closed. In 2014, Mateen again came to the attention of the FBI because of possible ties to Monar Abu Salah, an American suicide bomber. The FBI conducted an investigation, including an interview with Mateen. We determined that contact was minimal and did not constitute a substantive relationship or a threat at that time.
Now, that was FBI Special Agent Ron Hopper. He spoke yesterday when, full disclosure, they came forward and said, this is what we know. He has been on the FBI radar before, but many Americans wondering if he was on the radar, if he was interviewed, why was he allowed to be a security guard for a company that is a government subcontractor?
Because we don't have thought crimes yet. We do for certain social issues,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you go the wrong way on certain social issues, you could lose your job and no one will care, and you'll be drummed out of the...
But was this all about political correctness?
I don't know.
What I want to
That's
know
the
this
issue.
morning.
Right.
And with that, we welcome Bill Gavin to the program, former FBI Assistant Director, 28 years with the FBI, also author of several books. Good morning, Mr. Gavin. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
So the main question, how could this happen? How could this man slip through the cracks of the FBI? Or do you think the FBI was doing their job?
I really believe the FBI was doing their job. In order to open a case with an individual as the subject of that case, you have to have predication to do that. And there are investigative and prosecutive guidelines. And each time this individual was interviewed, while he was on the grid as a tangential person to an individual that the Bureau was looking at, it didn't rise to the level to make him the subject of an investigative matter, so it had to be closed.
Well, what are your sources telling you, or what do you know about the inflammatory comments that he made to coworkers about possibly terrorist ties?
Well, you've got to put that into freedom of speech kind of category, and when the FBI looked at it, as Ron Hopper said, they were unable to substantiate the fact that he made those statements, and I guess probably had the ability to carry them out.
Mr. Gavin, a few years ago, around the time that I think Colonel Hassan killed all those people in Fort Hood, Texas, and the president's administration termed it workplace violence rather than terrorism, there were reports first on sort of right-wing talk, and then internet, and then later in some of the mainstream publications about an effort to scrub the word Islam or Islamic from certain terror assessments or certain intelligence. And I wondered, did you ever hear about that? Is there such a thing going on? Because you look at this, you Google Islam scrub terror assessment, and you get stories from the Hill, congressmen talking about it. Is it just politics, or is there something to it?
Well, when you talk about Islamist extremism, you haven't heard that from the highest levels of our government, and that's where it really belongs and where it should be. I think in order to really address this problem, the worldwide problem as we see it, we need to let the military do what the military of this country does so well. But they've had the reins on them for so long, afraid from the administration that we may have collateral damage. War has collateral damage. While it's not the greatest thing in the world, sometimes it has to be acceptable. And in order to stomp out this problem, we need the law enforcement contingency, we also need the intelligence communities, and we need the military to do what they do so well.
But
that's what's going to stomp this problem.
I understand your point, but to my question, have you heard of any efforts to be politically correct and scrub Islam or Muslim from certain terror assessments or reports?
I personally have not heard that kind of a proposition from anybody that I could put a name to.
So moving forward now that this has happened and the FBI knew who this guy was, are you guys going to change the way you do business? Are people that are on the terror watch list going to be more scrutinized?
You we have to discern whether or not this individual has been on a watch list, as you say. I believe the individual that we're talking about, Mateen, was looked at and interviewed, but not put on any kind of a watch list. You say, well, we changed the way we do business. That has to do with what the Justice Department and what Congress says we can do.
So your hands are tied until you hear from lawmakers of what you can and cannot do?
Absolutely true. It is. You can only do so much and try to convince those in power, the lawmakers, to respond to what you really should be doing in order to alleviate and mitigate this whole problem.
Well, some people in this country want an all-out war with Islam, and I understand why they want to link Islam and terror in every sentence that they speak. There are others who are professionals like you who have to deal with gathering the evidence, and the issue is, to me, if we continue to say, if we start saying officially Islam and terror out of the president's mouth, does that tend to radicalize marginal personalities like this even more or less? Or is it the right thing to do or not?
I think the president himself has to use radical Islamic extremism, not Islamic extremism. He has to put the word radical, have those three words together in there.
And why does that? Why would that? If he starts saying that finally and stop being politically correct, why would that help you people?
That's identifying the problem that really exists. Otherwise, you tend to taint some Islamic principles and whatnot that you should not be involved with. You've got to let freedom of speech carry where it can. It's the radicalization of these people that causes the problem.
So do you think he was self-radicalized or recruited via the internet, or is he just a loser wannabe terrorist?
That's a difficult thing to say, and I think they'll probably have to unfold some of the information that they find off computers, cell phones, the Twitter accounts, whatever he might have been involved in, to determine whether or not he was self-radicalized or directed toward with true contact with the Islamic community outside.
Yes. So far, ISIS sympathizers have, congratulated him for it, but they didn't claim him as one of their own.
Well,
correct?
That's true, and one would expect that ISIS would, in fact, claim responsibility for something like this.
And what about Mateen's parents? We know that they're both born and raised in Afghanistan. Is there anything else you can tell us about them? And what does the FBI interview them and investigate them as well now?
The FBI, of course, will interview them in relation to this particular act of their son. I don't think they've ever come up on the grid before.
Well, the father was involved in Afghani politics. He was involved in discussions.
Was he pro-Taliban? I saw him on a YouTube channel.
Pro-Taliban and discussions about the Pashtun tribal areas between Afghanistan and Pakistan.
And the problem is, does that fall into the realm of free speech? And probably
correct.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
Politically correct.
The FBI gets involved in investigations with people with free speech, then we've really got a problem.
Mr. Griffin, one thing I've learned is that dealing with intelligence and security professionals like yourself, those guys are usually the most concerned about free speech and constitutional freedom. The politicians are generally, they just want you to solve the problem. And if you step on the Constitution today and not tomorrow, they'll be okay with it as long as their butt's not hanging out in the wind.
Well, for the most part, politicians want to rhetorically address the problem and not do anything that's substantive, and that's not going to be a way to solve this whole problem that we have right now.
All right, that is former FBI Assistant Director Bill Gavin, also author of Pick Up Your Own Brass: Leadership the FBI Way. Mr. Gavin, thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Coming up, really a bad weekend to be in Orlando. Somebody else was killed over the weekend, just 3 miles away from the Pulse nightclub. That story coming up. But first, here's your forecast.
Today, it's going to be warmer, partial sunshine, more humid this afternoon, high of 87. And tonight, mainly cloudy with a shower or thunderstorm. Make my tomatoes happy. You know who's got the traffic?
Make My Tomatoes Happy? That sounds like a children's book.
I should write
Let's
children.
make my tomatoes happy.
John Cass and Jim Telemonte will begin a new career after this show. Jim?
Sounds great, John. I'd be privileged. Thanks so much, and good morning. Morning, Amy. Right now, traffic's heavy at O'Hare. It's a Monday morning, so it's slow on westbound 190. This is from the Kennedy to around the terminal area at the airport, and now we're seeing delays on the outbound Kennedy from Cumberland to the airport as well. It's about 25 minutes from downtown to O'Hare. The inbound Kennedy's still good. Eden's fine. Inbound Eisenhower. Heavy Manheim to First. 32 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Inbound Stevenson has delays. Harlem to Kedzie. It's already 45 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The outbound side is clear. Inbound Ryan, 25 minutes. 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State heavy from the Reagan Tollway to 290. There's work on Itasca. Westbound Thorndale is closed. Park to 290. 53 is wide open again, and 390 is good at 53 and 290. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Rolling hills, beautiful prairie views. You can take it all in when you play golf at Golf Club of Illinois in Algonquin. Play at one of the finest golf courses in Illinois with a special seasonal deal from ChicagoRadioDeals.com. The Golf Club of Illinois is a classic link styles course featuring high grasses, treacherous sand bunkers, and strategically placed mounds on each hole. This course is a stern test for all skill levels and is consistently ranked among the top 10 public courses to play by Chicagoland Golf. Find out why Golf Club of Illinois is a secret favorite for those looking for a unique, challenging round of golf. Play with your favorite foursome of golf buddies for only $95. That includes cart and is usually almost $200, so it's a great deal. Or for the dedicated golfer, tee up the preferred player membership, normally $380, only $165. That includes discounted rates for rounds of golf, cart, and 2 bonus rounds of golfing during the 2016 season. Why wait? For sun and fun, start summer early at ChicagoRadioDeals.com.
I love my Catholic school. My teachers help me to succeed academically. In fact, students at the Catholic schools and the Joliet Diocese are ahead in every category academically, by 20 to 30 points compared to national norm. And 92% of 7th graders meet or exceed growth expectations in reading, language, math, science, and social studies.
You just heard my daughter talk about why she loves her Catholic school. And as a parent, I may not be able to control what is happening in our culture, but I can control how my children are educated. And I do that by sending them to a Catholic school where they have the moral foundation to make the right choices based on the teachings of the Catholic Church. If you want to provide your children with a moral compass to navigate our culture, consider sending him or her to a Catholic school.
Now you can join me at my school. Participating Catholic elementary schools in the Joliet Diocese, and in conjunction with the Catholic Education Foundation, are offering a $1,500 tuition transfer grant to any student who transfers from a public, private, charter, or homeschool. Restrictions apply. For more information, go to www.weteachmore.com.
I'm Dan Proft with an Upstream Idea, brought to you by the Illinois Policy Institute. 27. Illinois state employees, on average, receive total compensation 27% higher than their private sector counterparts. State employees made nearly $4,000 more in wages and $13,000 in benefits than private sector employees. More than half of state workers will retire before the age of 60 with a guaranteed state pension. The state is in a financial death spiral with ground impact imminent. So keep this in mind as Governor Bruce Rauner breaks off contract talks with AFSCME, the state's largest public sector union. AFSCME has been unwilling to give on its demands for annual step increases of 3.8%, in addition to annual general wage increases. The lowball estimate of the cost of what AFSCME demands is $1.6 billion. That's $1.6 billion more from Illinois families who already pay the highest property taxes in the nation. This is Governor Rauner's moment of truth. He ran for office saying he is not a politician. He said he is a businessman who will make the difficult decisions to turn around the state he loves. We're about to find out if that's true. For more Upstream ideas, visit upstream-ideas.com. I'm Dan Proft.
Coming up next, it's me, Mike Gallagher, right after Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560, The Answer.
Actually, Mike Gallagher, our brother in sound, will be joining us at 6:06 this morning. He's in Orlando, Florida, and will give us the latest. I wanted to pass on to you quickly. Omar Mateen worked for about almost 10 years for a security firm called G4S. They were based out of the UK, but what they did was they had government contracts to protect government buildings, provide security personnel for, are you ready for this? Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Customs and Border Protection at the U.S.-Mexico border, and they help transport undocumented immigrants from urban areas. So we know that Mateen, while he was married, he worked for a nearby juvenile detention center, and recently he's been working at this posh gated golf community. And people say, he was armed every day and that his job allowed him to have proficiency with firearms. But he was licensed. He had those two guns that he used to kill people with were both licensed, and they were set to expire September 2017.
Yeah, so he had the security. They had government contracts, the security company.
Yeah, but
and here's the president. Here's the president. Like, how could anyone get access to weapons? What are you talking about, man? Your government gave his company that he worked for a contract.
Our tax dollars went to provide work and employment for Omar Mateen.
Right.
Hello. 312-642-5600 is the number. Let's go to Bill, who joins us from Hinsdale. Good morning, Bill.
Hey, good morning. How are you guys?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, around the first election of Obama, he told George Stephanopoulos about his Muslim upbringing. Do we have to be a Rhodes Scholar to figure out why he won't say radical Islamic terrorism?
I don't think he told George Stephanopoulos, who I don't watch anymore or watch any of those Sunday
He's
shows.
Your Greek brother.
Yeah, I just don't like watching the Sun. I just stopped. Okay.
Okay,
I stopped
fine.
because there are other issues on Sunday morning to do, and as far as that goes, sir, I've heard that on the internet, but I've never seen anybody show me a transcript.
Yes.
And that's the point. We start talking like that. I understand what you're saying. But then it's easy to get spun one way or another when we go there.
It's like a bad case of telephone.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
America has a serious narcotics problem. 90% of the world's narcotics are taken by Americans. They have a place, but when you're dealing with chronic pain that doesn't go away or which frequently returns, there is a better way. You're masking the pain. We help you find and deal with the source of the chronic pain to get real relief. This is Ken Candido of Chicago Anesthesia Pain Specialists. We're serious players in pain. Our team are national leaders and we're educators in the treatment of pain. We will work with you to diminish or eliminate your pain and help you get your life back. Contact us. We will help you. You don't have to live with chronic pain. We treat all pain. We don't mask it with painkillers and narcotics that are not good for you and which can be addictive. I have a simple message for you. If you or someone you love or someone you know has chronic pain, contact us. Treating chronic pain issues is what we do. We can make it better. Get an appointment and let's talk. MyPainChicago.com, MyPainChicago.com. All the info is available at MyPainChicago.com. Let's make you pain-free.
Looking to learn how to enhance your credit and plan for your financial future? Then you need to attend David Hochberg's and the Heartland Institute for Financial Education's Financial Empowerment Seminar Thursday, June 16th, this Thursday at the Oak Brook Financial Center. You should attend if you want to learn what credit scores are and how they impact your life. You should attend if you're credit challenged, filed bankruptcy, experienced a foreclosure or short sale, and would like to purchase a home. You should attend if you're tired of securing double-digit card loans and overpaying for insurance. And you should attend if you want to learn how to budget, save, and plan for your financial future. To register for the Financial Empowerment Seminar on June 16th at the Oak Brook Financial Center, go to am560david.com. Now, if you have any questions refinancing or purchasing a home, call David now, 312-751-1333, or visit am560david.com. David has helped thousands of AM560 listeners, but guess what? He can't help you if you don't call. So call him, 312-751-1333, or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee, 4358 RMLL NMLS 19186.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. They'll also keep you cool this summer with temporary air conditioners for any situation, big or small. Call 630-834-6000. That's 630-834-6000 or charlesequipment.com. charlesequipment.com. Reserve now for summer festival season.
When you need spends a little too much time in the sun relief. Yikes. Ow, what the? Attack of the angry mosquito relief.
Hey, watch this.
Scraped knees.
And an elbow.
Relief. You need new Gold Bond Pain and Itch Relief Cream with lidocaine. Gold Bond has the maximum strength lidocaine available without a prescription and starts working on contact to numb away pain and itch. New Gold Bond with lidocaine. Relief starts now. Use as directed.
What is it about buying a mattress that leaves you feeling violated? Pushy salespeople, fake sales, the walk of shame out of the mattress store? Those days are over. Hi, I'm Christian von Rickenbach, co-founder of Helix Sleep, where you can buy a mattress online, customized for you, for hundreds of dollars instead of thousands. Go to helixsleep.com, answer a few simple questions, and we build you the most comfortable mattress you'll ever sleep on. Shipping is free, and you have 100 nights to try it out. Go to helixsleep.com.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Dave Anthony. Imagine getting this text.
He's coming. I'm gonna die.
Her son was trying to hide as a gunman went on a shooting spree.
And then he said, hurry. He's in the bathroom with us.
And her son ended up among the 50 people murdered in that gay nightclub in Orlando early yesterday morning. 53 were wounded. That was a vigil. Hours later in Orlando, there were more services in solidarity across the country. Fox's Evan Brown has more on the massacre live in Orlando.
Dave, they're still removing remains from Pulse nightclub here and trying to identify all of the victims as the city tries to wrap its collective head over what happened.
Seeing all the missed phone calls from our friends talking about how afraid they were because they have people who they've contacted and they weren't answering their phones.
And the investigation into the shooter's life continues. Omar Mateen was a 29-year-old American Muslim who held professional security firearms licenses, but he also had been interviewed by the FBI more than once for supposed connections to jihadists, Dave.
And Evan, the investigators were at his house for hours last night investigating. He claimed allegiance to ISIS. His ex-wife, Satora Yusuf, he says
he was mentally unstable and mentally ill.
His father and a former co-worker say Mateen was racist and anti-gay. President Obama called it an act of terror and an act of hate. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
The president described the massacre as an attack on all of us.
As Americans, we are united in grief, in outrage, and in resolve to defend our people.
He also said it's a reminder
of how easy it is for someone to get their hands on a weapon that lets them shoot people in a school or in a house of worship.
Republican White House hopeful Donald Trump blasted the president for not calling it radical Islamic terrorism. The president will be briefed on the investigation this morning. Dave.
And Rachel, we're waiting on a news conference this hour from the FBI. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Partly sunny and 61 degrees in Chicago at 6:02. On WIND Chicago, good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A 15-year-old boy shot and killed in Chicago Heights. Chicago Heights Police and Cook County Medical Examiner's Office say they were responding to a call of a person down late Saturday night when they found Timothy Boyd unresponsive with multiple gunshot wounds. He died early on Sunday morning. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel says the city will not be intimidated after a shooting inside a Florida gay nightclub left 50 dead. There will be higher and elevated security at the city's Pride Parade on June 26, increasing security, particularly in near gay bars and establishments. David Sotomayor spoke during a vigil last night in the city's Boys Town neighborhood.
We stand strong and proud, and they are not going to ruin our pride ever.
Police leaders say they're stepping up that presence out of an abundance of caution, not because of any specific threat. Governor Bruce Rauner's budget fight with House Speaker Mike Madigan is well known across the state, but the Republican is now seeking to extend that scuffle to Illinois Attorney General Lisa Madigan, the Speaker's daughter. Republican repeated a claim last week that the Democratic House Speaker and Senate President were trying to create a crisis. Rauner then alleged that Lisa Madigan is in on the scheme as well, saying the Democrats' efforts to persuade courts to stop worker paychecks is also intended to create a crisis. Cubs over Atlanta 13-2. Kansas City beat the White Sox 3-1. Penguins lift the Stanley Cup after a win over the San Jose Sharks. And a late goal lifted Peru over Brazil 1-0 in Copa America. The USA starts knockout phase action of that tournament on Thursday. The news, a service of GNC. Fuel your summer fun at GNC. Top products to fuel every athlete are buy one, get one half off. Fuel your training, fuel your recovery, fuel your wallet at GNC. Buy one, get one half off store-wide mix and match now through June 27th at GNC. 6:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It's the question that's on everyone's mind this election season. Who will Donald Trump pick as his vice presidential running mate?
This is what the people want.
Well, if you think you know the answer, you could win $560.
Believe me.
Enter AM 560's Veep Stakes contest. If you correctly predict Trump's running mate, you're eligible to win the cash prize and a $50 gift card from the Trump Winery.
Mark my words.
You can enter on the AM 560 mobile app or go to 560theanswer.com/Trump and enter today.
It's common sense.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-467-5125. That's 1-800-467-5125. 1-800-467-5125. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors not available in all states.
6:05. Let's get an update on the roads in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the outbound Kennedy, traffic is stop and go from Montrose most of the way to O'Hare. It's 30 minutes downtown to the airport. Tack on additional delays on westbound 190 and Kennedy to the Tri-State. Inbound, just about a 2-minute delay from the River Road toll to Cumberland. Edens is still fine. On Eisenhower Heavy Wolf to First Avenue, 38 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, outbound 30. Stevenson, 45 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, it's fine. Ryan, 25 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, Bishop Ford, a little heavy approaching the Ryan, but they're lighter than normal. On Tri-State, heavy at 290. Traffic is a service of TGI Fridays. Don't miss Dine and Drink only at Fridays. Ending soon. Get a petite sirloin, cheddar mac and cheese with a glass of Dark Horse Cab, or a juicy truffle-stacked burger, fries, and blackberry margarita. Offer valid at participating locations for a limited time. Valid while supplies last. Some restrictions apply. Please drink responsibly. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the AirComfort.com Weather Center, here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, partly sunny with a more humid afternoon, high 87. A shower or thunderstorm tonight. Otherwise, mainly cloudy, low 65. Couple of showers and a thunderstorm tomorrow. Mostly cloudy and humid, high 82. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
58 at O'Hare and along Chicago's lakefront, 61 at Midway. Next news at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next with Tribune Page 2 columnist John Cass. In for Dan on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Power Trading Radio. Heard Sundays at 2 p.m. Brought to you each week by Online Trading Academy.
Good morning. Welcome to your Monday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Oh, God. It's a terrifying scene, the night of partying turning into tragedy. Bullets flying.
Everyone was screaming and jumping.
Witnesses bolting for the exits, scrambling for safety. The club itself telling everyone to get out and keep running.
There was bodies everywhere. I really didn't. In the parking lot, they were tagging them red, yellow, so that they know who to help first and who not to help first.
The FBI first became aware of Martin in 2013 when he made inflammatory comments to coworkers.
alleging possible terrorist ties.
We've reached no definitive judgment on the precise motivations of the killer. The FBI is appropriately investigating this as an act of terrorism.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
A somber Monday morning here at AM 560, The Answer, really across the country as we mourn the lives of 50 people who were taken in an act of hate or an act of terror at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida. Still, the death count is at 50, the deadliest mass shooting in American history. 53 are still at the hospital, and it was just really chaos outside.
My son hasn't been heard from, so I don't know if he was left in the club, if he got shot, or if he's being worked on here. I don't know. It's terrible. He's my only child.
And certainly our heart goes out to that mother and to everyone who lost lives. And it really was just a senseless, sick, perverted crime, because was he a homophobic? I was calling him a homophobic jihadist all weekend. That's how I was explaining it to my kids. Right, but that's exactly,
Right?
It might be a redundancy, to say homophobic.
Who knows what
jihadist.
the motivation is?
Well, we
right?
know this morning, we're learning this morning that when he entered the nightclub at 2 a.m., he had an exchange of gunfire with the off-duty Orlando police officer who was a security guard. Once inside, people thought that it was part of the music because it was Latin night. 350 people were there. A lot of them were dancing. They thought the pow, pow, pow was part of the music soundtrack. And then 20 minutes into the rampage, he stopped and called 911 and pledged his allegiance to ISIS and talked about the Boston bombers. Now, the exact extent of the exchange has not been released, but we do know that much from the FBI.
Self-radicalized terror, and the president cannot say the words Islam and terrorism.
No, and with that, we join our brother in sound, Mike Gallagher, host of the Mike Gallagher Show right here, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Good morning, Mike.
Amy, John, good morning to you. And typically a visit to Orlando is a happy one. You know, all the years I've been coming here with my family to go to Disney World and to enjoy it. It's, of course, a huge vacation destination. But everywhere you go here, there are signs up, pray for Orlando. Our hearts and prayers are with the victims. Just lots of sadness here, tears flowing freely, not a lot of anger, plenty of shock. And members of the community who just can't believe this would happen to a place that just reflects such sunny optimism and a getaway destination where people are supposed to be happy. I went last night, Amy and John, to a vigil, kind of a prayer vigil with candles and, people who were just talking about the victims. Many of the people in the crowd had lost friends and people who were at the Pulse nightclub Saturday night, including this gentleman. He was sort of standing by himself away from the crowd a little bit, and I sort of sauntered up to him. He had obviously a very, very pained expression on his face, and he proceeded to tell me that he was in the nightclub when the shooting began, and he managed to escape with his life. Here's what he had to say.
I was actually there last night, so seeing a lot of friends fall and get hit and shot at, it was important for me to be here today.
Everybody in this community around the country seems to be rallying around Orlando. In a way, this is, such bloodshed and horror and loss, and yet maybe a way that Americans will be unified. Do you think going forward? Do you think it's too early to speculate about maybe people coming together after a tragedy like this in a senseless act of terror?
I mean, I see it already happening. Everybody's doing their part, and that's amazing. There's a lot of people, a lot of love. A lot of friends that are here.
You were there before this all happened, or last night, or after, or what happened?
I was in the club when the shooter came in and started shooting at us, and I was one of the lucky ones to actually escape and come out. But still hearing the gunshots and people screaming and crying was crazy because I couldn't really do anything from where I was at.
Did you have a sense right away that you knew what was happening, that a gunman had actually come into the club and was doing this?
At first I didn't, and it hit me a little later. And when I started actually seeing the gunshots and everything and the rounds going off, that's when everyone just started screaming and running.
Did you lose friends?
I did.
Who did you lose?
Can't say.
I'm so very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
So, guys, those are the kinds of stories that are everywhere, it seems. You've been sharing them this morning, and there's just a ton of sadness and anguish here in Orlando this morning.
Well, is there any anger directed toward the government, toward the FBI? Because they spoke with this gunman on 3 separate occasions, in 2013 and in 2014, and they didn't consider him a threat.
Right, and there's also now a claim a former coworker of the shooter says that he complained to the man's employer about the man's unhinged behavior, but the company ignored complaints because the man was a Muslim, and they were concerned about, being accused of Islamophobia. This is according to Florida Today. That's a story that's resonating with Floridians here, Amy. As people hear that, and we recognize the possibility that this guy was a ticking time bomb, but political correctness perhaps prevented anything from being done. That is resonating with people here in Orlando.
And
that's
the
for
company,
sure.
though, the company he worked for, G42, they're based out of the UK, but they were a government subcontractor.
Correct.
I mean, his job allowed him to have proficiency with firearms.
Correct, and he was repeatedly described, evidently, as unhinged and unstable. So we're going. That plays right into, of course, the gun control debate, because you have such a fierce opposition from people like me who want to protect the Second Amendment from having guns taken away from law-abiding citizens. But then you get into the murky waters of somebody who's unhinged and unstable, and what access should they be given to a gun? Can they go into a firearms dealer and buy a firearm legally if they're described as somebody who is probably one of the last people who ought to have a gun? Perhaps that's this case, and that's why the gun control debate is going to be fast and furious after this.
The gun control, the president brought that up. What did you think of the way he brought it up in the middle of this tragedy?
John, it was shocking. I mean, I really didn't expect the United States to be blamed for this. And as John Podhoretz of the New York Post pointed out, that's basically what the president did, and certainly there's a great cry about the LGBTQ community and gays and lesbians who were killed in this gay nightclub. But that becomes almost the focal point rather than ISIS, rather than terrorism. I mean, ISIS.
Anytime you have a terrible tragedy, I see as a columnist, people on all sides of the issue try to use it to their advantage.
But I'm not into high-capacity magazines. Excuse me.
Yes.
No, I'm not. And
I'm into
on
the Second Amendment.
I'm into the Second Amendment, too, and
Yeah.
I'm a former gun owner. But the high-capacity magazines, the extended clips, let me tell you a quick story. Jared Loeffner, Tucson, Arizona. I used to live there, Mike. I was a reporter there. My mom still lives there. I have a lot of friends there. We had Steve on this program. You know what Steve did? Steve tackled Jared Loeffner when he was exchanging magazine clips. And if he was not exchanging the extended magazine clip, more people would be dead. And that's why, I just don't see a need for the high-capacity magazines.
And the Boston Marathon bombers, of course, used pressure cookers and took innocent lives. Gays have been thrown off of buildings.
What did Timothy McVeigh use?
Right, exactly.
He was an American.
I mean, fertilizer. Right. And there's this is the problem, Amy, and not to say that your point isn't rational and reasonable and we ought to have a dialogue about it, but there's been a fierce agenda to shut this Second Amendment down. And Americans, listen, you're going to hear all day long today why there wasn't anybody, perhaps in Pulse nightclub, who had the ability to defend themselves.
It's also a safe thing for it's yelling about Islam, and why aren't we talking about Islam and terror is a safe thing for the Republicans.
Because I think he was a loser wannabe terrorist.
But screaming about gun control is a safe thing for the Democrats, and they hop on their safe perches and continue the debate that way.
I want to bring to you Christine Leonian. She is asking for, a ban on high-capacity magazines. Her son was killed in the shooting.
I just wanted to say, though, that this is a club that nobody wants to be in. And please, could we do something with the assault weapons so that we could stop this club from ever getting any new members? I beg all of you, please.
I mean, it was a tearful plea to end the use of assault rifles. And I know she's grieving, and sometimes when you're grieving, you do things out of character. But the handgun, could he have killed as many people as he did with just a simple handgun?
Well, with multiple handguns, he certainly could have. And there are different kinds of handguns and semi-automatic weapons that have a capacity to fire more than one round. And, listen, of course she has every right to say whatever she wants. She's a grieving mother, and she's going through something that no mother should have to go through. And I'm certainly not comfortable criticizing her. But this debate, John, you mentioned it's kind of a Republican thing to blame ISIS. I don't know who else you blame. Terrorism
because we don't know. I'm just saying,
well,
Michael, that as a talk show host, and you and Amy and me, I'm in the newspaper business. People generally tend to gravitate to a position that they're safe on. They feel on safe ground. That's why the Democrats aren't going to engage ISIS and Islam and terrorism in Islam. They're going to talk about gun control.
Right.
And the Republicans who want all-out war with Islam aren't going to talk about gun control. They're going to talk about Islam and terrorism and Obama's.
And I'm a Republican that I think it's perfectly reasonable to have the dialogue about gun control. I just don't want it to overshadow the real symptom here and the real cancer. The cancer is Islamic radical terrorists who want to bring jihad to the United States, and in many cases, like this one apparently, a homegrown terrorist who, according to every news report we have, pledged allegiance to ISIS and did this on behalf of ISIS. And the gun control debate and the LGBT debate is going to overshadow, I fear, the real core problem, and that is how do we defend ourselves against this kind of? We're at war, John, Amy. There's no question. This is an act of war. This is not just a shooting.
It directed? Look, was al-Baghdadi sitting there pulling strings back in?
Well, they're seeing whether or not he was connected to a wider network. That's why overnight, while people were sleeping and early this morning, FBI is still combing his apartment in Florida to see if he did have connections or if this was a direct order from a higher being and who, provided all the ammunition, who paid for it all.
If we can't say Islam and terror, and we have to be careful of the feelings of many American Muslims whose sons are fighting in wars for us.
You
right?
bet. You bet.
But if we can't say, what we have to deal with is the radicalized weirdo who will latch on to something like this in order to have a pretext to go out and kill people.
Now, in all due respect, and you know what a John Cass fan I am, frankly, but to characterize this person as a weirdo, there is. Go look at the percentages of Muslim countries who approve of Sharia law. This was for millions of Muslims around the world an act of Sharia that is approved.
But he wasn't.
And also, too, it's Ramadan. I mean, and ISIS leaders have urged attacks during this time.
Yes,
absolutely.
And it's also LGBT awareness month.
So that's why we need discussion. We ought to take the political correctness out.
Amen.
And discuss it. That's why when the president refuses, I know why he's refusing to say Islam and terror. He doesn't want to. We have friends like Jordan and Turkey, even though I don't know if they're such a great friend, and other people, other countries that are with us. Do we want to lose them? No. But at the same, do we want to insult Muslims in America? No. But can we have a reasonable discussion on this?
That's why one of our guests today on my show after you guys will be a Central Florida imam named Mohammed Musri. He was with Mayor Buddy Dyer here in Orlando as we broadcast from our sister station, 660 AM, The Answer in the Orlando area. And because that's one of the big questions, too, is where's the Muslim community when this happens? Where's the widespread condemnation? Yeah. Where are the denunciations? We'll ask the imam that. We've also got just a whole lot of audio from the rallies, from the Pulse nightclub where I went over to observe last night. And we just have a lot of information for you today from 9 to 11.
Yep, yes, and we'll be sure to listen. But when you talk to the imam, I suggest maybe a million Muslim march to denounce all these terrorist attacks.
I've got it on my list,
see what
Amy.
He says. All right, thank you so much, Mike Gallagher, for joining us.
Nice
you can
talking
listen
to
you. Him. Yeah, thank you so much. You listen to him every day right here, Monday through Friday from 9 to 11 a.m. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, your phone calls 312-642-5600. Also, Donald Trump changing today's speech. Oh, he's not going to bash Hillary anymore. We'll explain. But first, here's your forecast. John
there's
Cass,
a forecast.
Meteorologist.
Yeah, meteorologist. Just think of me in front of a green screen waving my arms, okay? Today, it's warmer with partial sunshine, More humid this afternoon, high of 87. Mainly cloudy with a shower or thunderstorm. Who cares? Because right now it's Jim Talamonte with the traffic.
Good morning, John and Amy. Eden's outbound past Foster. A car fire in the right lane. It's got delays in both directions. The inbound Gapers Way starts at Devon. Kennedy, 23 minutes O'Hare to downtown, but outbound 35. Really slow from Montrose to the airport. Westbound 190 has stop-and-go traffic as well. About Eisenhower, 41 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 34th, Stevenson, already 50 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, and 40 from the Tri-State. Fine outbound, Orion, 27 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 20 minutes, I-80 to the Murray at Bishopport, about 18. There is a collision at 103rd, left lane block. This one is involving a car and a deer. Eastbound Adams Tollway slow from Toohey to the River Road Toll. Reagan Tollway slow, 355 to Myers with a crash on the left shoulder. Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Business owners, I want you to stop and think about the one part of your organization that you simply cannot live without. What comes to mind? Your employees, your location, your customers? How about your technology? Let's face it, everything rests on your network running smoothly and efficiently, and that's where Turnkey IT comes in. They understand the value of your network and the critical role it plays in your company. They'll keep your network up and running and resolve any problems so you can focus on the important things. Turnkey IT's team of professionals will respond to you quickly. They won't roll their eyes when you ask them questions or try to dazzle you with confusing technical jargon. So this spring, Turnkey IT is offering a free security audit. That's right. Even if you have an IT guy, this free security audit will help you understand if they're keeping your data safe from viruses and hackers. So visit turnkey.pro today to schedule your free security audit and mention that Amy sent you. That's turnkey.pro.
When you need spends a little too much time in the sun relief.
Yikes.
Ow, what the? Attack of the angry mosquito relief.
Hey, watch this.
Scraped knees.
And an elbow.
Relief. You need new Gold Bond Pain and Itch Relief Cream with lidocaine. Gold Bond has the maximum strength lidocaine available without a prescription and starts working on contact to numb away pain and itch. New Gold Bond with lidocaine. Relief starts now. Use as directed.
What is it about buying a mattress that leaves you feeling violated? Pushy salespeople, fake sales, the walk of shame out of the mattress store? Those days are over. Hi, I'm Christian von Rickenbach, co-founder of Helix Sleep, where you can buy a mattress online, customized for you, for hundreds of dollars instead of thousands. Go to helixsleep.com, answer a few simple questions, and we build you the most comfortable mattress you'll ever sleep on. Shipping is free, and you have 100 nights to try it out. Go to helixsleep.com/try now. That's helixsleep.com/try now.
When I hear realtors boast about servicing a 3-county area or selling a home every 15 minutes, I think, what level of service could their clients possibly be getting? This is Chris Jacobs with Century 21 affiliated in Inverness, and my message is a little bit different. If being a realtor for more than 20 years has taught me one thing, it's that all real estate is local. While I can't say I'm the #1 realtor in the country, I can tell you that over the past 10 years, I've sold more homes in Inverness than anyone else. My team specializes in Inverness, Palatine, and Arlington Heights. We pride ourselves on providing our clients exceptional customer service and local market knowledge. So if you're selling your home or looking to purchase a property in our area, then call me, Chris Jacobs, at 847-401-4859. That's 847-401-4859. Or visit us at chrisjacobshomes.com.
Each office independently owned and operated, an equal housing opportunity.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Let's get straight to your phone calls, 312-642-5600. And we should mention that in a few minutes, the FBI, local Orlando police are going to be holding a news conference with the latest information. But in the meantime, let's go to Philip, who joins us from Blue Island. Good morning, Philip.
Would you classify Dylan Wolf or just somebody like that as a radical Christian terrorist?
I
didn't hear you. What did you say, Philip?
Dylan Wolf. Would you classify him or define him as a radical Christian terrorist?
He was the Charleston shooter who shot 9 African Americans, correct?
Radical Christian terrorist. You wouldn't call Dylan Wolf that?
I think he's a radicalized Christian terrorist, yes.
Okay, so I mean, why is that? Why would you classify him as a Christian?
Well,
my point is, there's instead of Christian, why not Arab?
where his origin or let me say they said he's from Afghanistan terrorist. I don't understand. And actually, he's an American terrorist because he's American born.
You know, Mr. Phillip, that's the subject of I wrote an extra column today for the Tribune, and that's the subject of it. We talked about it. You know, trying to think out how to deal with this.
Okay. Sorry for interrupting you, but we're now going to join the news conference in progress right now in Orlando, and here's the police chief of Orlando, Florida.
The city of Orlando, and yet I stand here prouder today of our community than ever. We came together united to support the families and friends of the victims. We learned of the heroic acts of our Orlando Police Department and other local law enforcement agencies, as well as our citizens. Hundreds of lives were saved during the course of that night. OPD and the other law enforcement agencies responded heroically, allowing hundreds to escape at the beginning of the event and then breaching the wall, killing the bad guy, and rescuing dozens of hostages. The medical personnel that saved so many lives that were transported to the hospital are certainly heroes in my mind today, as well as the entire community. And then we turn it over to we begin thinking of the families and identifying the victims, which is critically important because I could not imagine being one of the parents or knowing that your loved one might be among those that are deceased and having to wait and find out. The FBI did an unbelievable job of clearing the scene. By 11 o'clock, all of the victims had been removed and turned over to the medical examiner and to the FDLE. And then they also stood tall and did their job. And now all 48 of the 49 victims have been identified. 24 of the next of kin have been notified, with more to come. The number to call for families is 407-246-4357, 407-246-4357. As the next of kin are being notified, we're putting the names of the victims on City of Orlando/victims. So again, I want to just compliment the medical examiner and the FDLE for the work that they did all night long in making the identifications and then notifying the next of kin. And we will continue that process today.
That voice belongs to Buddy Dyer. He is the mayor of Orlando, Florida. Again, saying that the victims have all been removed from the Pulse nightclub. 39 shot inside and were killed, and 11 died at the local hospital. But again, we'll have more information. FBI will be speaking after him. But first, let's go into the newsroom and get the latest now from Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Amy and John, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Partly sunny and 61 right now, and authorities continue to probe the background of Omar Mateen this morning, who police say opened fire in an Orlando, Florida nightclub, killing 50 and leaving 53 others wounded. Islamic State Radio is calling Mateen one of their soldiers in the caliphate in America. Mateen's father says his son recently became angry, and he says that may have been related to the assault.
I knew as much as you do about him. I didn't know. If I did know this, I would have called myself 911, and I would have told the police officer to take him.
A former co-worker of the gunman in that deadly terror attack at a gay Orlando nightclub says Mateen did harbor a lot of anger.
There was never a moment where he didn't have anger and rage, and he was always loud and cursing. And anytime either a female or a black person would come by, he would use horrible words.
Dan Gilroy on Fox News, he worked with Mateen at a security firm. The FBI says Mateen called 911 and pledged allegiance to ISIS, and the terror group again has claimed responsibility for that attack. Here in Chicago, a 15-year-old boy has been shot and killed. Actually, it happened in Chicago Heights, where the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office tells us officers responded to the call of a person down very late Saturday night and found Timothy Boyd unresponsive. Former Illinois Governor Pat Quinn launching a petition drive to impose a Chicago mayoral term limit and create an elected consumer advocate position. He needs 53,000 valid signatures before an August 8 deadline for that referendum to be on a November ballot. And a fallen tree is blamed for causing a gas line fire in Northbrook, blaze burning for hours in the 3000 block of Keystone Road. Cubs over Atlanta 13-2. KC over the White Sox 3-1. The news service of Napa Auto Parts. Get Pennzoil conventional oil for just $3.39 a quart this month at participating Napa Auto Parts stores. That's Napa know-how. While supplies last, General states pricing. Sale prices do not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees. 6:33 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get to B-Dubs now and try their new stadium-inspired menu. It's packed with food like their bacon double cheeseburger and loaded garlic fries. You'll be full for a full day of playoffs. Buffalo Wild Wings, beer, sports.
You know the name Barbara Walters. Now remember the company, Ameritrust Mortgage.
Ameritrust Mortgage was formed along with a talented professional staff that makes your mortgage process easy, swift, and cost-efficient for you, the home buyer, and for those who refinance. Ameritrust is all-inclusive, start to finish, the way lending should be. At Ameritrust, we believe it has been our privilege to have helped thousands of people over 30 years with purchasing or refinancing their home. We are here to help. Let us customize a loan program for your specific needs, FHA, VA, or conventional. At Ameritrust, the responsibility belongs to me. It's my name on the door. I am the president. I am Barbara Walters. Call Ameritrust now, 815-459-7303. Again, that number is 815-459-7303. Or visit us at am560myhome.com.
Ameritrust Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee number 720. NMLS number 217229.
Father's Day, Sunday, and there's still time to get your dad the gift of a great night's sleep. And there might be a health reason why you want to get him a pillow from MyPillow. It's gross, but people don't know that you're supposed to change pillows every 2 years. Why? Because pillows absorb dead skin, dirt, skin oils, dust mites that can cause allergies, acne, asthma, and who knows what else. So if you haven't already done so, you need a washable MyPillow, and so does your dad. And with a 10-year warranty, it's a great gift and a health investment, and you'll sleep better. I know that I do. That's why MyPillow is the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. So visit MyPillow.com, type Amy, A-M-Y, in that promo code, 2 MyPillows for the price of one. Keep one for yourself. Give one to Dad. Do it now, 800-489-0201, 800-489-0201, or MyPillow.com, promo code Amy.
I have struggled with irritable bowel syndrome for 40 years. Really struggled with it. And I want you to know that since I have been taking Balance of Nature, I don't have it anymore. After 40 years, I'm 75 years old, and after 40 years of struggling with this, and, early on taking all kinds of medication and this, that, and the other thing, back in October, I was able to cancel my appointment with the gastroenterologist. Your products have made my life. They have improved the quality of my life so tremendously. I can't be grateful enough. So please thank you all, and please, if you ever have a chance to, please thank Dr. Howard.
Good health is just a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Call now and take the health challenge to get a free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Psoriasis and vitiligo are serious diseases. You've tried everything and have been disappointed. Now there's X-Track, a breakthrough treatment that provides long-lasting, safe relief. X-Track is FDA cleared for the treatment of psoriasis and vitiligo and is endorsed by thousands of dermatologists and hospitals because it works. Clinical studies show immediate results with up to 95% clearance. The in-office visits are fast, painless, with virtually no side effects. With thousands of providers treating patients all over the country, X-Track is covered by all major insurance companies and Medicare. We'll help you find a doctor close by, and there is no cost to you until you see results. Get your life back. Live free. Live X-Track clear.
For your no-cost treatment, call now 800-972-3143. That's 800-972-3143. 800-972-3143 or visit xtracradio.com. Qualified patients, certain restrictions apply, results may vary.
6:37. Let's get an update on the roads in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Eden's outbound past Foster. There's a car fire. 3 right lanes are blocked. 28 minutes. Montrose to Lake Cook, inbound 35. Kennedy is 30 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, about outbound 55 minutes. Eisenhower, 46 minutes. Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 39. Stevenson, 55 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 40. Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 30 minutes, I-80 to the merge, Bishop 420. Eastbound Adams Tollway really slow from Elmhurst Road to the River Road Toll. The Reagan Tollway, 53 to Midwest. Traffic, service of GNC. Fuel your summer fun at GNC. Top products to fuel every athlete. Buy one, get one half off. Fuel your training, fuel your recovery, fuel your wallet. At GNC, it's buy one, get one half off store-wide. Mix and match. Now through June 27th at GNC. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Warmer day ahead, partial sunshine, and a humid afternoon as well, too. Figure that in with a high of 87. A shower or thunderstorm and a cloudy night ahead, low 65. 61 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy, with the Tribune Page 2 columnist John Cass sitting in for Dan this morning on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Wealth Management Group, hosted by Craig Bolanos. Heard Sunday mornings at 10.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
We are here for you. Lines always open. 312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us at 64636. Type in DA. Then a quick comment. John Cass filling in today for Dan Proft. And what a busy, almost solemn day it has been. But we're learning so much about this shooter, Omar Mateen. He apparently worked at the PGA Village Golf Club in Port St. Lucie. People said that he was armed. He was always armed, and that his job allowed him to have a proficiency with firearms. He was licensed to carry 2 guns, a handgun and an assault rifle. Both were used in the massacre on Saturday night. But the thing that still is sick to me and so many Americans is that the FBI has met him 3 different times, and they did nothing about him. And I think it was all about political correctness. Even his ex-wife, who said he beat her, she didn't file a police report at the time. Maybe that would have stopped him. Who knows? But she spoke early this morning.
Instability, emotional instability, sickness, mentally. He was mentally unstable and mentally ill. That's the only explanation that I could give. And he was obviously disturbed deeply and traumatized.
But she said he wasn't overtly religious. And, she said he wasn't, he didn't practice his Muslim faith when they were together.
That's the perfect personality to be radicalized, to find a true calling, the kind of atomistic, the loser bouncing around, beating his wife, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden he gets the calling.
But I think he's a homophobic jihadist. I mean,
I think he's homophobic,
but I think
jihadists.
He's more homophobic than he is a terrorist, because 20 minutes into the shooting, that's when he stopped. Oh, yeah, I'm going to stop. My adrenaline's pumping. Everything's going. I'm going to stop, and I'm going to call 911 and pledge my allegiance to ISIS and bring up the Boston bombing brothers. I mean, this guy is the ultimate a-hole. I mean, I'm sick, and now 49 people are dead. Thank God they've reduced the death count to 49. 48 have been identified, but there's 49 instead of 50. But how do you feel? I mean, this just creates more division with my trust of the government. They're sleeping at the wheel.
It makes a little division with my trust of Trump, too, because he's going on thumping his chest. I don't know.
Oh, we'll get to that in 2 seconds. But let's go to Mike, who joins us from the north side. Good morning, Mike.
Good.
Oh, Mike?
Mikey? We got a 50% chance of bear can chicken today. I'm just going to let you know. Get the grill out.
Thanks, Mike.
And Brazil got knocked out of Copa Americana, if you didn't notice.
Okay, Mike.
Mike, you're awesome, dude. I love you, and I miss you, man.
Hey, I just want to say this is the FBI's fault. They stink worse than last week's garbage. They couldn't hit water if you pushed them off Navy Pier. They hit this guy 3 times, but they got the nerve to investigate Chicago police, who have to make split-second decisions. What's wrong?
That's a very good point, Mike. We have to let you go there, Mike.
Hillary. If they don't indict Hillary, she's going to use this to get rid of them. What do we need them for? All the law enforcement groups we have, they had this guy in their sights, and they still let him go? At least take his guns away.
Or at least let him not work for a private security company that is government.
That's guarding Homeland Security.
Yeah. What's next? They're going to let him guard the Pentagon? I know, it's sick, though. All right, let's go to David, who joins us from Schaumburg. Good morning, David.
Hi, David.
Hello?
Hello, you're on.
Hey, yes, hi. Amy, I'm so glad that finally you said that you're finally getting sick of political correctness, okay? Like, for instance, they're saying in this report there was a gay nightclub. Who cares if they're gay or not? They're American citizens. And unless the media is going to go on about how Sharia law wants to kill homosexuals and make a big issue of it so that maybe some people who are lovey-dovey and want political correctness and everyone love each other and it's okay, then why even bring up the fact that they're gay? It's ridiculous. It's the same thing when the media reports, oh, an SUV ran over a man. Who cares if it's an SUV? It's a vehicle hit a person. Okay?
Well, they brought it up because NBC interviewed Omar Mateen's father, Sadiq, and he said that, this isn't a religious, he's not radicalized by Islam, that he saw two men kissing in Miami a few months ago, and he was so upset that that's why he believes, his family believes that's why he targeted the gay nightclub. Thanks for your phone call, David.
Although, if you're gay under Sharia law, you're probably going to get stoned to death.
Well, and also, too, it's Ramadan, and ISIS is urging people to attack during Ramadan.
Listen, and that's when we're all upset about these killings, and they have Ramadan, and everybody's blood is up, and we're mad, and we're upset. And this is the time, everybody, where I want you to take a step back, get into your tomato garden like I did yesterday, or do something, and just think. Because this is the time when politicians will pull your chain, because that's what they do. And that's how they know how to manipulate people and herd those cats or herd the livestock.
And let's talk about that because Donald Trump today is supposed to have his big speech in New Hampshire. He's supposed to attack Hillary Clinton and how she's not fit to be president. Well, we've learned this morning that that's not going to be the focus of this morning's big announcement. He's going to talk about terrorism, national security, and immigration. And when this happened, I mean, thank God he didn't take to the airways yet, but when this happened, he had a series of tweets. Mm-hmm. Really bad shooting in Orlando, police investigating possible terrorism, many people dead and wounded. And then followed up by a horrific incident in Florida, praying for all the victims and their families. When will this stop? We will get tough, smart, and vigilant. Or when will we get tough, smart, and vigilant? And then he said this. Okay, that's okay. That's sat well with me. But then an hour later, he tweeted this. Appreciate the congrats for being right on radical Islamic terrorism. I don't want congrats. I want toughness and vigilance. We must be smart. Exclamation point. I mean, to me, it just seems so self-centered in a moment of tragedy to try and score political points, before all the facts came out, before even victims' family members knew whether or not their loved ones were dead or alive.
They're all doing it. The Democrats are like, okay, let's use this to get rid of guns.
Right. Okay? That's what Bernie Sanders came out and said that. Hillary Clinton came out and said this is another graphic example of why we need to take assault rifles off the streets.
To me, it's sick. You don't, first of all, you don't make decisions on public policy when you're upset. You don't make decisions at your home when you're upset. You take a few minutes, go out to the garden, have a gin and tonic with bitters, maybe a lime. That's how I'd go in the afternoon, and then think about it. But
the
you don't
calm down.
That's the cast calm down. Yeah. But you don't go, let's do it. Right. But at the same time, on the other side with Trump, don't you, the chest beating, Amy? I mean, don't you have surrogates do that for you?
Perfect. So Donald Trump shouldn't have said that himself. He should have had somebody else.
Jim Sessions, somebody who did.
Jan Brewer, any one of his surrogates. Right. 312-642-5600 is our number. Do you think the terrorist attack in Orlando hurts or helps Donald Trump's? Your phone calls coming up.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Forecast for today, we had kind of a bizarre weekend. We were too hot, then too cold, and today it's going to heat up again, John Cass?
You know what? It's June. So guess what? It's warm in June. And warmer with partial sunshine today, more humid this afternoon, high of 87, mainly cloudy with shower or thunderstorm, low of 65. And you know who's coming on now to talk about traffic?
Who?
His name is Jim Talamonte.
Thank you, John. Love that radio voice. I think those tomatoes are growing as we speak. On the Edens outbound, we've got heavy delays right now. From Montrose to past Foster, there was a car fire. It's now cleared out of the way. All lanes have reopened, but it's 28 minutes Montrose to Lake Cook. Inbound 36 minutes. Delays from Church to Foster. Kennedy, Getting heavier, 35 minutes O'Hare to downtown. Outbound, it's 40 minutes just to Montrose, an hour and 5 minutes downtown to O'Hare. On Eisenhower, 55 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. Outbound 39, Stevenson, an hour and 5 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 40 minutes. Ryan is 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, all bottled up from the 83rd Street toll to the Hinsdale Oasis, from the Reagan Tollway to Grand Avenue. You spot Adams Tollway slow Elmhurst Road to the River Road toll, Reagan Tollway slow Farnsworth to Eola, and it's also slow Yackley to Midwest. There was a crash in that area. Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
I'm Lou Dobbs. The Senate zeroing in on Puerto Rico's debt. America and Canada at odds over lumber. The NTSB wants information on Tesla's electric cars. Those stories next.
Hey, Bill Bennett here to tell you about Augusta Precious Metals. What if you could store your IRA or your 401k where you can see, touch, and hold it in person in the form of physical gold and silver coins? I know I would, and you can't do that with stocks. But with the Augusta Gold and Silver IRA, you can transfer retirement savings into physical coins and store them where you can see them anytime. Free shipping, zero management fees, and Augusta pays all upfront costs. Getting started is absolutely free. Rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau, enjoys a 98% 5-star satisfaction rating with TrustLink.org. You can trust Augusta. Call toll-free 1-855-222-6993 now for your free guide to Augusta Gold IRAs. Call toll-free 1-855-222-6993. That's 1-855-222-6993. Or visit AugustaPreciousMetals.com.
The Senate this week takes up the Puerto Rican bailout already passed by the House. Puerto Rico faces a multi-billion-dollar default in less than 3 weeks if action isn't finalized in Washington. Bilateral talks between the United States and Canada trying to resolve disputes over softwood lumber have made little progress, may be headed back to court. American producers want tariffs to even the playing field. Tesla Motors disputes reports it has safety problems with its electric vehicle suspensions. The NTSB is looking into one of its vehicles which had abnormal amounts of rust on car parts. A private lunch with investor Warren Buffett raising millions of dollars for a San Francisco homeless charity. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Everywhere you go, the threat looms. It follows you no matter what you do. The longer you avoid the IRS and the financial difficulties you're going through, the faster they will begin to close in on you. So take control of your situation and stop the chase. John DeWatt of Thinking Outside the Box Law Firm will help you end the feeling of being hunted by the IRS. If you've avoided taxes or could benefit from the life-saving assistance of bankruptcy, it's time you call John DeWatt. This is an attorney who is willing to take on the federal government on your behalf. He's worked to discharge thousands of dollars in penalties, and he can help you settle your debts once and for all. Call 888-777-4193. Stop being hunted down by the IRS. Let John DeWatt of Thinking Outside the Box Law Firm help you deal with the IRS personally. His proven system works. So call John today for your own relief plan. That's 888-777-4193. Or online at thinkingoutsidetheboxlaw.com. That's thinkingoutsidetheboxlaw.com.
Is your balance off due to a head injury? Is your head injury due to sports, auto accident, military service, a trip, slip, or fall? Get back on track. Researchers at the University of Wisconsin-Madison are conducting a clinical research study and are in need of participants who have difficulty with balance as a result of their head injury. If you're between the ages of 18 and 65, have experienced a mild or moderate head injury over 1 year ago, and now have difficulty with balance, you may qualify. Please visit headinjurytrial.com for more information and to find out if you qualify for this clinical research opportunity. Limited space is available, so please visit headinjurytrial.com or call 877-861-4652. Compensation of up to $2,000 is available for qualified participants. Visit headinjurytrial.com or call 877-861-4652.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
So the FBI just released in their press conference 49 victims plus the shooter. That's why there was a total of 50 dead, and 48 of the 49 victims have been identified. And they're in the process today of notifying the next of kin, but they have been waiting for it's got to be hell. It's been more than 24 hours they're waiting, because the longer that the phone calls and the text messages went unanswered, the mothers knew that this is not good news.
You want to make sure that everybody who is dead is a victim and not maybe a possible perpetrator. There's a lot going on there. It's a terrible thing.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. Let's go to Frank, who joins us from St. Charles. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning. If you consider all the contact he had with the FBI and all the statements, the documented statements he made at his workplace, could this same thing have happened in Israel, where he goes to an Israeli gun store and buys these guns and it just flies completely under the radar? I don't think so.
I don't know, but can you put a guy in jail for his thoughts?
Yeah, but if he was investigated by 3 times by the FBI and he bought those 2 guns last week.
What did he say, though?
He made inflammatory remarks to coworkers about alleged possible terrorist ties. And then he was bragging about that he knew the first American suicide bomber. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name.
Maybe he didn't, and they checked him out, and they thought he was
and that he's just bragging?
Yeah.
Well, he is nuts, and he's bipolar. Thanks, Frank, for the phone call. And his ex-wife came forward. She said that he beat her and that he was undiagnosed with bipolar disorder.
A few months after we were married, I saw his instability, and I saw that he was bipolar and he would get mad out of nowhere. That's when I started worrying about my safety, and then after a few months he started abusing me physically very often, and not allowing me to speak to my family, keeping me hostage from them.
It's a typical
and
abuse.
I tried to see the good in him even then, but my family was very tuned into what I was going through and decided to visit me and rescue me out of that situation.
And one thing I will not abide is
that's some Sharia
man
law.
Who hits their wife or abuses women. Yeah.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
My name is David Hochberg, and I'm Vice President Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. Tom, Chicago firefighter, called to refinance his $400,000 5% non-reaffirmed mortgage. Until recently, Tom's only option would have been to pay down his loan over $35,000 and secure a FHA loan. I have outstanding news. My team can now refinance homeowners discharged at least 4 years from a Chapter 7 bankruptcy into a conventional loan instead of an FHA loan. This is a huge game changer for borrowers looking to refinance their non-reaffirmed mortgages after a Chapter 7. If you'd like to refinance out of your non-reaffirmed mortgage with a ridiculously high rate, like Tom did, give me a call now at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. I've helped thousands of AM560 listeners, but I can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage and Equal Housing Lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage License 4358, RMLA, NMLS 19186.
CertaPro painters are here for every stage of your life, from moving into a new home, creating the ideal nursery, to reinventing your living space. CertaPro painting experts create the perfect setting while you do life. They came to our home and brightened our walls and our moods so very quiet they wouldn't wake a baby. But the best part? They clean up after themselves so you don't have to do it. And now that spring is here, it is the perfect time to spruce up your home's exterior. Take a look at your home. Do you see chipping, peeling, fading? Well, leave it to CertaPro painting experts to refresh, renew, and protect your biggest investment, your home. Now is the time to call for your free estimate and schedule your exterior painting project. 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GOCERTA. That's CERTA with a C. Or visit CertaPro.com today, CertaPro.com. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
The success of a mid-sized business often comes down to one thing: managing your cash flow. I'm Ann Dollagall, Treasury Management Executive at Signature Bank. At Signature Bank, we take a personalized and proactive approach to structuring your cash management solutions to keep your financial assets safe and working for you. Our automated accounts receivable and accounts payable technology allows your business to grow without adding to your overhead expenses. And what truly sets Signature Bank apart is our personal approach. We get to know your business by rolling up our sleeves to work alongside you. Call me today for a review of your company's operational challenges.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, I want to tell you about my friends at Guardian Security Services. Because here's the deal. If you're unhappy with your door staff or on-site security officers at your business or property, or you're just not receiving the services you were promised, there's no reason to tolerate it. Call my friends right now at Guardian Security Services to discuss your security officer needs. These guys are amazing. They've been Chicago's best for 41 years. They only assign the most professional, highly trained security officers in all of Chicagoland. Their vetting practices are exceptional. If you're finally ready to explore an alternative to your current security officer provider, then doggone it, do it. Pick up the phone right now and schedule a free security assessment with my friends at Guardian Security Services. Tell them me, Joe Walsh, sent you. Right now, call 708-385-3300. Again, 708-385-3300 or online at guardiansecurityinc.com.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, was it a hate crime or a terrorist act? And was he connected to a wider network? The latest on Omar Mateen from KT McFarland. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy, the vigil held here in Chicago to honor the Orlando terror attack victims. A warmer day with partial sunshine ahead, 7 o'clock.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Dave Anthony.
We will not be defined by the act of a cowardly hater.
Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer the morning after the massacre at a gay nightclub.
48 of the 49 victims have been identified.
53 others were wounded in the shooting spree early yesterday morning. Fox's Eben Brown live in Orlando.
Dave, Pulse is a pretty popular place among Orlando residents, especially the younger crowd, and it's certainly catered to LGBT clientele.
I'm bound to know somebody in that building. If there were 50 of them, I know at least one, I guarantee you.
It's in the city proper, in an urban residential area. It is not near the theme parks or even in a downtown entertainment district. Not all of the victims have been removed yet from the club building. The man identified as the shooter, Omar Mateen, lived about 90 minutes away and would not have randomly encountered the nightclub, Dave.
He was killed by a SWAT team as they entered the building a couple hours later. He had called 911 during the shooting spree to claim allegiance to ISIS. His father says his son was not religious and did not like gay people. Daniel Gilroy used to work with Mateen.
There was never a moment where he didn't have anger and rage, and he was always loud and cursing.
An ISIS radio outlet calls Mateen one of their soldiers in America, praising what he did, attacking Christians and gays. President Obama has called this terror and hate.
We will not give in to fear or turn against each other. Instead, we will stand united.
He also again says it highlights how easy it is to get a firearm. Presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton echoed his call for gun control, but Donald Trump says Mateen got the guns legally and was licensed. The presumptive Republican nominee called on the president to resign for not blaming radical Islam.
We better get smart, or it's only going to get worse.
Trump will make a speech later today on terrorism, calling for more intelligence, more bombing of ISIS targets overseas, and knocking out the Islamic militants' internet capabilities. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Clouds and sunshine this morning in Chicago, 62 degrees officially. At 7:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning, I'm Mike Scott. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel says his city will not be intimidated after a shooting inside a Florida nightclub that left 49 victims dead and the shooter. Emanuel said in a Sunday statement he looks forward to celebrating the city's Pride Parade on June 26. There will be festivities next weekend as well. Chicago police are increasing security, particularly after the shooter attacked a gay bar in Orlando. Police leaders say they're stepping up their presence out of an overabundance of caution, and not because of any information regarding a threat in the city of Chicago. A 15-year-old boy shot and killed in Chicago Heights. Chicago Heights Police and the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office says officers responded to a call of a person down behind an abandoned home where they found Timothy Boyd unresponsive with multiple gunshot wounds. An off-duty Chicago police officer and a Chicago firefighter are receiving praise for the rescue of 5 on Lake Michigan. Donovan Jackson, a detective, and firefighter Rylensky Strong were jet skiing on the city's south side when they came across a capsized boat on Lake Michigan. They transported each victim to the shoreline where emergency crews were waiting. No one was hurt in that incident. Cubs over Atlanta, 13-2. John Lester earning his 4th straight victory. KC over the White Sox, 3-2. Penguins, your Stanley Cup champions for the second time since 2009, beating San Jose. And in the WNBA, Phoenix beat the Sky, 86-80. The news service of GNC. Fuel your summer fun at GNC. Top products to fuel every athlete are buy one, get one half off. Fuel your training, fuel your recovery, fuel your wallet. At GNC, buy one, get one half off store-wide. Mix and match now through June 27th at GNC. 7:04, and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity lays out what's at stake this election.
The media is ignoring all this anti-American, pro-Mexican flag violence at Donald Trump rallies. I mean, it's getting vicious out there.
There's a lot at stake this election.
If you're pro-life, if you're pro-Second Amendment, if you want to build the wall, you want to repeal Obamacare, you want conservative justices, there's a lot at stake here. And the media wants Trump to lose, big time.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-467-5125. That's 1-800-467-5125. 1-800-467-5125. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors not available in all states.
7:05 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the Edens inbound, it's slow starting at Church, 30 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 25. The Kennedy, 40 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 40 minutes just to Montrose. An hour and 5 minutes to O'Hare. The Eisenhower, an hour and 5 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, 52 minutes from Manheim, outbound 39 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 5 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 45 minutes. Ryan is 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, slow 95th to 47th, Ogden to 31st, and Roosevelt to North Avenue. Eastbound Adams Tollway heavy, Meacham to 53 and 2E to Lee, Reagan Tollway, Farnsworth to Eola, Yackley to 355 and 83 to the Tri-State. Banners Royal, slow Finley to Roosevelt, and Army Trail 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. Let's get the latest with our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Partial sunshine today with a more humid afternoon, high 87, then a shower or a thunderstorm tonight, low 65. Couple of showers and a thunderstorm tomorrow, and tomorrow night, humid with a high 82 and a low 69. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
62 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 7:30. Continuous news coverage at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next with Tribune Page 2 columnist John Cass in for Dan on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
Good morning. Welcome to your Monday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Oh, God. The terrifying scene, the night of partying turning into tragedy. Bullets flying.
Everyone was screaming and jumping.
Witnesses bolting for the exit, scrambling for safety. The club itself telling everyone to get out and keep running.
There was bodies everywhere. I really didn't. In the parking lot, they were tagging them red, yellow, so that they know who to help first and who not to help first.
The FBI first became aware of Martin in 2013 when he made inflammatory comments to coworkers alleging possible terrorist ties.
We've reached no definitive judgment on the precise motivations of the killer. The FBI is appropriately investigating this as an act of terrorism.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome back to the program. Amy Jacobson, John Casson sitting in for Dan Proft on a very busy and solemn Monday morning. Learning this morning from the FBI, actually there were 49 victims. The 50th dead body was the gunman, Omar Mateen. And we're learning this morning and hearing from his fellow coworkers, and I want to get to this to our listeners as soon as possible because currently, well, up until this past weekend, Omar Mateen worked as a security guard for the PGA Village Golf Club in Port St. Lucie, Florida. It was a gated community, and he worked with a man called Daniel Gilroy. And Daniel Gilroy has come forward saying that Mateen was unhinged, he was unstable. He would often talk about homophobic beliefs and about religious beliefs, and he has spoken this morning.
There was never a moment where he didn't have anger and rage, and he was always loud and cursing, and anytime either a female or a black person would come by, he would use horrible words.
So Gilroy, who's a former Fort Pierce police officer, said that he complained to management, and management did nothing because he's Muslim.
That's his characterization, but clearly this type of personality, I think our next guest will understand this as someone who is ripe to either self-radicalize and seek a higher purpose for his paranoia and anger. And I'd like to hear what she has to say.
Yeah, and real quickly, Gilroy quit after Mateen would stalk him with multiple text messages. He would text him 20 to 30 times a day, and he also called him on his cell phone 13 to 15 times a day and left messages, homophobic, anti-American messages on his voicemail.
He's blossoming, and he's waiting. All he needs is little direction, and you can just direct him.
And with that, we go to KT McFarland. Excuse me, KT, a friend of the show, Fox News national security analyst. KT, how are you doing today?
Well, sad, and grieving like the rest of the country.
I know. So what about this Omar Mateen? Do you think he acted alone? Is he just a homophobic? Is he a terrorist wannabe? What are your sources telling you?
Well, it could be any of the above, and that's the problem, is that he has, after every one of these, Amy, we all look back and say, the warning signs were all there. We just never connected the dots. And then after an event, the predictable happens. The liberal media says, oh, it's all because of the NRA and guns, and they won't let us have gun control. And the conservative media says, oh, well, it's all because of political correctness. Frankly, guys, it's because of everything. It's all of the above. I mean, why was a crazy guy like this, who exhibited all the warning signs, did he have a gun, a legal gun? And if he had a gun, why didn't somebody check up on him? And then the political correctness. His coworkers, his former wife, people warned, there were all the warning signs there, and yet it wasn't pursued. Why? Because of political correctness. I mean, I look at this and say, we have been at this war for 15 years, and we're losing. And we've never gotten in front of it. We've never gotten ahead of it. Bush didn't do it. Obama didn't do it. And now radical Islam has reached into the borders of over the borders of the United States, deep inside. It recruits on the Internet, and it proselytizes on the Internet, and it trains over the Internet. And we are so far behind this, and yet we're the country that invented the Internet, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that stuff, and somehow we're not the one. We're being outsmarted by a group of guys in the desert of Yemen on social media.
I know, but we're letting them still reach the Americans via Twitter and Facebook. I mean, is anybody patrolling that on a second-by-second basis to try and stop them recruiting lone wolves?
Well, here's the thing. We have used the Internet, and we have shut down child pornography, for example.
Okay.
But what we haven't shut down is radicalized behavior. Why? Is it for political correctness? President Obama, what is his first reaction? Saying, well, we've got to, this is the whole gun control issue, and we don't want to alienate any Muslims, so we want to make sure we don't even say the word radical Islam. Or for fear that the crazy ones are going to be pushed into the edge and into the arms of ISIS. I mean, I don't know about you, but I listened to President Obama's statement, and I sure wasn't reassured that he's got this under control.
He started off, KT, I thought, with the right tone, and I thought, okay, good. And then he switches over to gun control.
He's done this 16 times, though,
and the
in his
thing is,
presidency.
I'm not one of these who I don't want to go to war with Islam, and I understand because there's a billion of them. What, we're going to kill everyone? You can't. So I understand that there are policymakers who like you, professionals, who understand that if we start drumming the Islam drum, that it's counterproductive in terms of policy. But can't we have some middle ground?
I don't necessarily think it is counterproductive.
Really? Okay, tell me.
I mean, for example, there's an organization in Britain called Quilliam Foundation, and it's made up of and the founder was a man who had been radicalized and was part of Al-Qaeda. He was one of the big Al-Qaeda recruiters in Great Britain. Mm-hmm. And then he changed his mind, and he's now on the good guy's side. And he said, as have others, said, look, you got to separate it out from the religion. You've got to call it radical Islam. Otherwise, the rest of the Islamic faith can't attack it. We've got to attack it from within, and by the United States and others having this political correctness, never daring mention the word, it in fact hinders their efforts. I look at this and say, we've been at war for 15 years. We defeated the Nazis quicker. We really defeated the Cold War. It took a little longer for the Cold War, but this is an effort that we have to understand threatens. It's an international effort. It's a global jihad, and it threatens all of Western civilization.
All right, well, let's talk about the FBI. And, they investigated him in 2013 because he made comments to his coworkers alleging possible terrorist ties. And then in 2014, he had potential ties to the American suicide bomber in Syria. Mm-hmm. What do you know about that relationship?
Well, one of his friends was the first American who had gone to Syria to be a suicide bomber in the Middle East. All the warning signs were there.
So that was his friend?
That was his friend. It was somebody he'd been in contact with.
Well, how is he not on an FBI watch list? How is he working for a company that's owned, a UK company, a security company, that government sources and protects government buildings? How is that even possible?
Here's what my beef with this has been all along, is that from the very beginning, we wanted to be politically correct and we didn't want to single anybody out. So all of the resources we used to find terrorists, we wanted to look at everybody in America the same way. Okay. So if some grandmother on her way to Orlando with the grandkids to visit
my
Disney
mom.
World, like your mom, okay,
she's
given
out.
the same level of scrutiny as somebody who fits this terrorist profile behavior. What we should have done from the beginning, and what we should certainly do now, although it's late in the day, is to say we have only so many resources. Let's immediately, quickly take your grandmother or your mother and put her out of the realm of people we're going to take a second look at. And then for that 1%, 5%, whatever it is, then we zero in on them and we take a close look. And if this man, for example, was looked at by the FBI and then dismissed, if we had more resources maybe devoted to that, maybe that guy would have been tracked a little better. I mean, for example, on the FBI's or on the National No-Fly List, CSA's no-fly list. If there's a terrorist like the one who was in Chicago, the one who came to Chicago, they misspelled his. They had the guy's name. They had his father who turned him in, and they had one letter that was misspelled.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he slipped through the net because they didn't spell the name right.
Oh my God, that is just
there was
heartbreaking.
a few, I think, a year or so ago, there were reports that the Obama administration had been scrubbing or ordered scrubbing of intelligence assessments to minimize the word Muslim. I kept reading this stuff on sort of right-wing.
It's true. I mean, but
is it true though?
Did the same thing. They refused to let the word Islamic and extremist or terrorist be in the same sentence or even on the same page.
So how do you do as an intelligence professional, how do you do your work if that's the directive from the White House?
Are you a fan of Harry Potter?
No,
I was a
because
really
it's,
big fan
it's
of those
Satan.
Harry Potter books because my kids were the right age.
Yes,
and there was
me
the
too.
evil Lord Voldemort, and nobody would mention his name. And as long as they didn't mention his name, they didn't have to deal with it. But of course, it turned out Lord Voldemort was the embodiment of evil. And once somebody like Harry Potter started calling him what he was, then they were able to go after him. Islamic extremism is the same way. We don't talk about it, and therefore we don't address it as a problem. It's easy to fade in to the background. We don't really have a national effort to confront it. I mean, I think we need an effort that is not just military, but it's economic, it's ideological, it has diplomacy, it has going to our allies who are playing us both sides of the issue and saying to them, look, you're being nice to us, you say you're cooperating, but we know you're funding radical Islam.
Okay, so Omar's father, Siddiqui Mateen, he was on YouTube. He's speaking out in support of the Taliban in Afghanistan, but he also said U.S. is a friend. What do you know about him in particular? We know they were born and him and his mom.
Well, they were born and raised in Afghanistan. And when the communists came into Afghanistan, there was a diaspora. In other words, a lot of Afghans left. They left Afghanistan. They went to other countries. They went to Europe. Some came to the United States. And then after September 11th, even more Afghans left, but the bad guys left. Those are the ones who were Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, and they went into Pakistan. I assume that the father was in the first wave because the son was born in the United States. He was born in Brooklyn. I mean, he's an American citizen.
And, and Dad was involved with discussions about the tribal areas.
Yeah,
in
again, we need to. Why are these people not popping up on somebody's, metadata analytics? I mean, you can go online, go on Amazon, and you buy a book, and then immediately you're getting the suggestion. Wouldn't you like this other book? That's based on your profile, your internet profile. Why are we not doing that for people who are maybe going to those kind of websites, becoming involved? Why are we not having a closer look at them? Certainly, Amazon knows a lot about me. Do they know a lot about terrorists?
So what's going to happen to the parents? I know they'll be interviewed by the FBI.
Well, they'll be interviewed, and then I think the next step will be where were the other connections? Did the family have a connection? We found with San Bernardino that the net was bigger.
Speaking of San Bernardino and this, and workplace violence in Fort Hood, right?
Or an Oklahoma beheading.
Exactly, and more. There's 12, 15.
We can't even remember them. There have been so many.
The point is, these personalities, this type of personalities, seems to be the kind that's ripe to be triggered, and I would expect there be further attacks like this. Yes?
Oh, I was just talking to someone who said that the FBI has said that after this attack, the chatter is how they communicate with each other, sort of how measuring the intensity of the interests that the bad guys have, that it went way up after this attack. So I think that's an indication that it may not be finished.
Well, she is the best in the business. KT McFarland, Fox News national security analyst. Thank you so much for joining us, KT.
Thank you, Amy. Thanks, John.
We'll talk to you soon. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up, you'll hear from Mateen, Mr. Sadiq Mateen. He spoke with the media moments ago. But first, here's John Cass with the weather forecast.
Check you out with the nice broadcast transitions there. I have a special announcement, though.
Oh, you have an announcement? You're becoming a girl?
Your sister left. Yeah, besides I'm becoming a girl. That's one thing. Second thing, your sister left your slow cooker downstairs with the security guard.
Okay. Thanks, John.
All right, listen, it's going to be warm because it's June, and maybe it's going to rain later on tonight, okay? Thanks. Is Jim Telemonte there?
Right here, John. Thanks so much. Good morning, Amy. Eden's inbound. Delay start at Devon. 28 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound 30. Traffic's heating up on the Kennedy. Now 42 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 21 for Montrose. 15 in the Express. Outbound 40 minutes to Montrose. An hour to the airport. Inbound Eisenhower's an hour and 12 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. 54 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 43 to Thorndale. Stevenson looking at an hour and 5 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 45 minutes. The Ryan 30 minutes. 95th to the Loop. Northbound Tri-State. Stop and go 95th to 31st. Roosevelt to North Avenue. Reagan to Lillay's. Farnsworth to Eola. Winfield to Yackley. And Midwest to the Tri-State. Veterans Memorial. Slow 75th to the Reagan Tollway. Butterfield to St. Charles. And from the Army Trail Toll to 290. Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
Hi, I'm Tony Migach. I've been in the wholesale food business for 30 years, selling steaks and seafood nationwide. About 12 years ago, I had an idea, something I didn't see anywhere, so I made it. The Cheese Witch, it's a sandwich without the bread. 2 slices of Wisconsin cheese with a slice of hard salami in the middle. We have 4 delicious flavors: Colby Jack, Pepper Jack, Cheddar, Provolone. It tastes great. The Cheese Witch is a great grab-and-go snacker meal. Each Cheese Witch has 14 to 16 grams of protein. No carbs, gluten-free, and it's ready to eat. It's sealed so you can take it anywhere. We package it in Lyons, Illinois, and ship it out nationwide. Open them up and bam, you've got a great healthy snacker meal. Look for it, ask for it. Where's my Cheese Witch?
Get your Cheese Witch, a healthy grab-and-go, at many locations, including all Walmart stores throughout the Midwest.
2 slices of Wisconsin cheese with a slice of hard salami. The healthy snack that tastes great.
AM 560, The Answer.
So once it became known that Omar Mateen was the shooter, killed by police after holding hostages for 3 hours. And they used this Bobcat machine to break down. They literally tore down the exterior wall to get in and rescue 30 of those hostages and shot him. And one police officer was shot up, but he had a Kevlar helmet that deflected the bullet, and he lived. Thank goodness. So again, this morning we're learning 49 victims. The 50th body is that of the shooter. And his father came forward yesterday and spoke to NBC News, not on camera, but said, this isn't a religious issue or a Muslim issue. Of
course not.
It's a homophobic issue. Come on, my son saw 2 gay guys kissing in Miami.
Right.
Well, now he's speaking a little bit more on camera about that.
I knew as much as you do about him. I didn't know. If I did know this, I would have called myself 911, and I would have told the police officer to take him.
Now, he was born in Brooklyn, but
Right.
did he become radicalized or have homophobic beliefs because of his parents, because of Sharia law, because of their Muslim faith? I mean, that's what we're trying to figure out.
I'm a Greek Orthodox Christian, and I don't endorse gay marriage. Does that make me homophobic? I don't think
Are you homophobic? Was this guy a latent homosexual? Because to me,
That's
it sounds
another
like
issue. There's other
to me,
issues
it sounds
there.
like you. I mean, whether you like same-sex couples or not, but to see a gay couple kissing and have such outrage and anger, that's
front of
not
your
a
son?
normal reaction.
In front of your son?
Yeah, and if you're there with your son, you tell him to calm down. Just relax.
Well, if he's a little kid, he doesn't know what's going on.
But he was an adult.
I mean, no, he was an adult. The
Yeah.
boy was a little boy. I mean,
Well, no, this happened a few months ago in Miami. 312-642-5600 is the turnkey.pro answer line. Let's go to Jerry, who joins us from the lovely town of Mount Prospect, Pleasantville, I call it. That's where I'm from.
is that where the hey Jerry? Is that where the diaper place is?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Tykables.
Yeah, that is. and
Congratulations.
I'll never go there.
Well,
Don't be diaper phobic, Jerry. Okay.
It's just something that I'd rather play golf, I guess. And what I want to say real quick is, ISIS has declared war on us.
Mm-hmm.
In the old days, we would declare war on ISIS, at which point the rules of engagement would change completely. Anybody in the United States who declares allegiance or favors ISIS would be declared an enemy collaborator and would be arrested, just like we did to Germans and Italians in World War II who declared allegiance to Hitler or Mussolini. But we are not serious in this country. So we allow people who collaborate and communicate with ISIS to exist in this country and never be arrested. So until we get serious and until we act like we are at war because the other side's at war, we're going to continue to get killed unnecessarily.
Yep. And not only that, I mean, Mateen worked as a security guard for a company that was a government subcontractor. This company, G4S, they guarded buildings such as Homeland Security. They helped guard the border. They helped transport illegals. I mean, it's just unbelievable that somebody who'd been interviewed and investigated by the FBI 3 times was able to come so close. Let's go to Ralph, who joins us from Rantoul. Good morning, Ralph.
Yeah, good morning. You know, the fact that we can't call it by its true name bothers me. I mean, in December 8th, 1941, the headlines didn't read Pacific Rim miscreants bomb Pearl Harbor, all right? It said the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. If you can't name your foe, how are you going to target your activities, do all the profiling in the world? You can't do it unless you name the foe.
I'm 100% with you, 100%. But how do you name the foe? Because if you say Islamic terrorism,
I think,
or do you say?
It's an excellent question, John. It's an excellent question, and I think what you have to do is I think you have to define an attribute set. So it's not a type of people. It's not even Muslims. It is a subset of Islam.
And the thing is, you know why I'm like, you know, that's why I wrote about it today. I did an extra column, Jerry, Ralph, is because we went through this kind of talk and thinking before the Iraq War. Mm-hmm. And I got sucked into it, and I was supportive of it. And then these sergeants came back, kids that had read my column, and then they said, John, let's talk. We shouldn't have been there. Yeah. And my heart
that
was
changed
broken.
your mind?
My heart was broken because these guys, you know, we are susceptible to the manipulations of politicians on the left and the right when we get upset. I'm just saying, step back, everybody. Have some cleansing breaths and think of how we're going to deal with this.
That voice belongs to John Cass. You can read his column today in the Chicago Tribune.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you could quickly and painlessly clear your psoriasis or vitiligo, would you?
No matter how big the psoriasis is, no matter how small the psoriasis, we can help you.
Ashley is a clinical specialist for Extract, the amazing in-office treatment for psoriasis and vitiligo that's clinically proven to show immediate results with up to 95% clearance.
What my patients love most about the Extract treatments is it's safe, it's FDA cleared, and they're seeing results very quickly.
End the embarrassing, painful patches and discoloration with Extract. There's no medications, no topical ointments, and virtually no side effects. Extract uses light to transform your skin and change your life. It's covered by all major insurances and Medicare, and will help you find a doctor close by.
I love what I do. I love coming in every day and making a difference in patients' lives. It's amazing.
Call now to live Extract Clear. Call 800-978-3554. That's 800-978-3554. 800-978-3554, or visit xtracradio.com. Qualified patients, certain restrictions apply.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, founder and president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy joins us, how the Muslim world is reacting to what happened. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
John and Amy, good morning. 63 degrees. Authorities in Orlando clarifying the death toll following the worst mass shooting in modern U.S. history.
I think what some people had been given out at one point in time was the shooter was included in the number at 50. There are 49 victims. We don't really count the shooter as a victim.
Special agent in charge Paul Weisopol telling reporters this morning there were 49 people killed by the gunman Omar Mateen inside a popular gay nightclub. Florida's governor praising the job of police and first responders this morning.
Our law enforcement has done a wonderful job. The Orlando Police Department, the Sheriff's Department, FDLE, the FBI did a wonderful job of getting the bodies removed from Pulse.
Rick Scott also sharing he's declared a state of emergency for the state of Florida. A security company that the Orlando nightclub attacker worked for says it found nothing of concern in its latest background checks. Omar Mateen worked for the global security firm G4S. The company says Mateen underwent screenings in 2007 and 2013. The ex-wife of the shooter in the Florida nightclub massacre says he was mentally unstable and he beat her and isolated her from her family during their brief time together. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump will speak about the terror attack at the Orlando nightclub today. He's scheduled to address the New Hampshire Institute of Politics at St. Anselm's in Manchester. Meantime, Hillary Clinton just on the Today Show this morning on NBC, remembering the victims and families.
This is a terrible personal tragedy for all of them, as well as a real shock and tragedy for our country.
Clinton on the NBC Today Show saying it's a complex challenge. Authorities say a 15-year-old boy was shot and killed in Chicago Heights. Chicago Heights Police and Cook County Medical Examiner's Office tells us they were responding to a call of a person down when they discovered the bullet-riddled body of Timothy Boyd. Chicago sports, Cubs over Atlanta 13-2. Kansas City beat the White Sox 3-1. The news service of Napa Auto Parts. This month, Mobil One full synthetic oil, $5.99 a quart at participating Napa Auto Parts stores. That's Napa know-how. While supplies last, General States pricing. Sale prices do not include applicable state or local taxes or recycling fees. 7:33 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
A court ruled that a Catholic school could not hire a gay person.
The Joe Walsh Show.
If you've gotten to a place in this country where the government can tell a church who to hire and who not to hire, you're in a bad place. We're totally upside down.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you not understand that?
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. They'll also keep you cool this summer with temporary air conditioners for any situation, big or small. Call 630-834-6000. That's 630-834-6000 or charlesequipment.com. charlesequipment.com. Reserve now for summer festival season.
Hi, this is Shalom Klein of Get Down to Business, the show for small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Powered by Tandem HR. We all have the same 24 hours in a day to make things happen, but some people seem to be better at getting things done. When it comes to growing your business, Entrepreneur.com says there are 3 good ways to spend your time: in thought, in conversation, or in action. As an entrepreneur, you're frequently interrupted or pulled in different directions. While you cannot eliminate interruptions, have a say on how much time you spend on them and how much time you'll spend on the thoughts, conversations, and activities that will lead you to success. As a general rule, spending 50% of your time on these items will get you results. While it may seem impossible to slog through your to-do list every day, making the time for activities that will get you where you want to go is time well spent. For more tips, advice, and stories of entrepreneurial successes, listen to Get Down to Business with me, Shalom Klein, heard Sunday evenings at 6. Your Business Minute of the Day is brought to you by Everett Wealth Solutions.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. AM 560 On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invites you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
7:37 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Inbound Eden's delays start around Devon. It's 28 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 30. The Kennedy, 45 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound an hour and 5 minutes to the airport. The Eisenhower's an hour and 12 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound 50 minutes. Stevenson, an hour, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 45 minutes. Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th to the Loop. Northbound Tri-State delays, Southwest Highway most of the way to 31st. Roosevelt to Grand Avenue. Eastbound Reagan tollway delays start at Farnsworth, continue on and off to Yackley, then it's slow Midwest to the Tri-State. Veterans Memorial, Fountain to the Reagan tollway, Butterfield to St. Charles, and Army Trail to 290. And traffic is a service of GNC. Fuel your summer fun at GNC. Top products to fuel every athlete are buy one, get one half off. Fuel your training, fuel your recovery, fuel your wallet. At GNC, it's buy one, get one half off store-wide mix and match. Now through June 27th at GNC. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte and AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. A warmer day ahead, partial sunshine, and humidity returns for the afternoon. High 87, a shower or thunderstorm expected overnight, low 65. Currently 63. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next with Tribune Page 2 columnist John Cass in for Dan on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Financial Planning with Jack Taboda, your 401k specialist. Heard Saturday mornings at 7 right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to podcasts of Joe Walsh and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Welcome back to the program. Amy Jacobson here. John Cass in for Dan Proft. And all weekend long, just glued to the television set, watching CNN, ABC, NBC, just trying to figure out what this is. Oh, yeah, I gave myself an hour break yesterday because I couldn't take it. And it was so much sorrow and just raw emotion.
My son was in there with his boyfriend and two other guys. They heard about 20 shots.
Oh my God, dude. It went bam, 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 bam. People screaming and falling. Everybody, what's wrong?
I got a text message from my daughter and my two nieces. Please come and get us.
Please come get us out because he's about to kill us.
Nobody knew what to do.
He was like, I don't want to look up because he's, if I look up, he might shoot me.
There was bodies everywhere, and I was crawling. I just kept crawling.
I don't know if he was left in the club, if he got shot, or if he's being worked on here. I don't know.
In the parking lot, they were tagging him red, yellow, so that they know who to help first and who not to help first.
He said he was going to die and he loved me. That's the last thing I heard. It's terrible. He's my only child. My son, he got shot 3 times.
It was just heart-wrenching watching this all unfold. And the two women that you heard from, their sons did pass away. They're one of the 49 who were killed, the 50th person, again, being the gunman. But, of course, 20 minutes into the shooting, he stops to make a phone call to 911 and says, I pledge my allegiance to ISIS. And then he mentioned the Boston bombers. So they're connecting to see whether this was just not a hate crime because he targeted a packed gay nightclub, or if this was something bigger, a terrorist attack, and was he directed by anyone in particular, including ISIS. And with that, we go to Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. He is a returning guest here on the program. He's founder and president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy. And Zuhdi, I just wanted to start. What was your reaction when you heard about this mass shooting?
Well, I can't tell you how horrified I am, and our prayers are to the victims, to the community, Orlando, and to our country again. And in this holy month of Ramadan, it's a time in which we Muslims that are spiritual, that love our country, there's a saying that we believe Satan is tied down in chains during that month while we try to do good. Unfortunately, it's also a month where the jihadists and militants think that they can get to heaven more quickly. So also some of the most heinous things in our history have happened during Ramadan. So, I think it's time for us Muslims to declare war on jihadists, that we need to get angry. We need to get beyond the apologetics and use the month of atonement now that we have to look in the mirror and realize that this hate is not just hate against the gay community. You saw that in the Paris attacks. They also attacked a kosher deli because there's deep anti-Semitism. There's deep misogyny we see in the hate against women across the Muslim world. So there's a lot of, every vulnerable minority is targeted by this ideology. And these are not lone wolves. This is an ideology that is a viral one that has a constituency that could include a quarter of the world's population. Now, the majority of Muslims don't believe this. It's not our strain of Islam. But if we're going to defeat it, we have to do the hard work of reform. And I would tell you, I think Americans are finally beginning to wake up to the fact that Islam is in its time in history now that Christianity was before the American Revolution.
Well, Zuhdi, what does the Quran say about homosexuality?
What does the what?
The Quran say about homosexuality.
Well, the Quran actually, from a reform standpoint, I would tell you that it's pretty silent. There's one passage which we share with Judaism and Christianity, which has to do with the people of Lot. But certainly Sharia law and Islamic history is just rife with very homophobic and anti-gay interpretations. Their imams, the mosque that the president went to in Baltimore had a sermon that we exposed at the time from 1 year earlier that was a screed against homosexuals. In Orlando now there have been a couple sermons and discussions exposed now on the internet that show where a imam was calling for the death of homosexuals. And Iranian government pushes gays off cliffs every week. ISIS does that. The Wahhabis in Saudi Arabia say that homosexuality is not human. So, yes, our Muslim reform movement has as a two-page declaration, a declaration that we support the rights of minorities, and in that is a declaration of the equality of sexual identity for all. And this is an important part of reform. And until Muslims begin to acknowledge that the homophobia, whether they call it in the name of violence or not, nonviolent homophobia is just as toxic as violent homophobia is.
We're speaking to Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, founder and president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, author of a book I am going to read, A Battle for the Soul of Islam, an American Muslim Patriot's Fight to Save His Faith. Doctor, I need to ask you, I've been always against the idea of calling this or any of the terrorism saying Islamic terrorism. In the past, because I was concerned that it would be manipulated by elements that just want us to, the United States, to be isolated from the entire Muslim world. And I don't think that's a good policy. But the more I see it now, these attacks, whether they're sponsored by ISIS or ISIS is out there and troubled idiots like this kid use it as a pretext, it's going to happen again and again. So I'm wondering, what is your policy on calling and using the phrase, given the fact that the president won't use it, Islamic terrorism or radical Islamic terrorism? What's your view?
We have to. You can't treat a diagnosis correctly unless you diagnose it. Imagine our founding fathers saying that they were going to defeat theocracy without identifying Christian theocracy of the Church of England as being the oppressive force they were fighting. And that's why they had a constitution that developed an establishment clause against the establishment of the church. Today, we have, by not calling it Islamism, by not calling it a direct pathway from political Islam and Islamic Sharia states, be it Pakistan, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, all of these Sharia states, we can't defeat that as Muslims and have a seat at the table demanding reform unless the diagnosis on the table is theocracy and political Islam. If you call it crime and terrorism or violent extremism as we do, all you're going to do is say that the means is the problem, not the end. And you can't. The reason these young barbarians and these savages want to die for ISIS, it's not just ISIS. It's the Islamic State mentality that their allegiance to the state means they join the Muslim military and become jihadists. The only way to counter that is to create a movement of Muslims globally that want to die for liberty, that want to die for freedom and die for America. And that's the only way to displace it. It's sort of like trying to defeat cocaine addiction by saying, well, stop using the cocaine, etc., until you replace it with a sense of personal identity and strength that they don't want to reach for the cocaine, which is political Islam and theocracy. You're not going to defeat it.
Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, do you think there's any time in our lifetime that we'll see similar to a million Muslim march to D.C. to denounce radical jihadists or lone wolves that are here in America?
Well, I pray that there will be. Certainly our Muslim reform movement is now over 20 organizations in the U.S., Canada, and Europe that I'd ask people to go to the website, MuslimReformMovement.org, and we're beginning to gain a lot of traction. But certainly the Muslim organizations, that even the imam you heard yesterday from Orlando, yes, he said work with the FBI, but there was no acknowledgement of enough anger about the root cause and no sense of personal responsibility.
He was more mad about the weapons being used than the person using the weapons. That's what I thought. What did you think?
Yeah. How absurd is that?
I know.
What the temerity to talk about the fact that this is gun violence when he knows, if he's honest, that the homosexual community is being treated oppressively in Iran, Saudi Arabia, across the world. And in his own community, he brought in speakers that were homophobic. So the denial is unbelievable. And unfortunately, the media, most media, the president, the academia, are complicit in their blasphemy laws by not criticizing the ideologies that fuel this. And it's sort of a bigotry of low expectations of Muslims that, well, you know, they're not going to modernize, so let's at least work with the moderates that are not violent. Well, the other part of the elephant in the room is our so-called allies, be it Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Iran now, Qatar. They don't want us to have this conversation either, because their governments will ultimately have their days be numbered if America and our great campaign ability and work to spread the message of freedom actually gets into this debate. Because people saying what I'm saying to you in Saudi Arabia and Iran are in jail. They're in prisons. They're not on the streets. The Arab awakening was a chance for an opportunity for this type of change, and it's going away because America has sort of been missing in action.
Okay, so real quickly, Doctor, how do we fight this?
We need a strategy where we, as a community, just as in the Cold War, we declared the evil empire being the Soviet Union. It is time for Americans to come together in our Manhattan Project and declare the Islamic States, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the evil empire, and Muslims in the prisons and the free thinkers are our allies on the ground, not the top-down dictators that are ruining and creating these monsters, but the bottom-up. We work with free movements, and domestically, Muslims join the Muslim Reform Movement. They're our allies. If they reject our declaration, they're part of the problem.
Okay, and the website again is MuslimReformMovement.org.
Yes.
Correct. All right, thank you, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, for joining us, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, the cast of Hamilton drops a skit because of what happened in Orlando. We'll explain, but first, here's your forecast, John Cass.
Yes, and what a wonderful forecast it is, Amy.
We're going to go hold hands and skip outside?
Yes, let's do that.
That sounds pleasant.
All right, and I'll cook some chicken for us for lunch. Warmer with partial sunshine, more humid this afternoon, a high of 87. Mainly cloudy with a shower or thunderstorm, low of 65. If you don't know it by now, it's June. It's warm. Dig it. Jim Telemonte, are you there, man?
Absolutely, John. Good morning. And if you don't know it by now, it's about 7:51, which means we're at the peak of the rush hour. The Kennedy Expressway, really heavy from Canfield to the Burns Circle. Bad, not as bad as it was at this time last week, but it's about 48 minutes, so O'Hare to downtown. Express lanes save you maybe 2 minutes. Outbound, though, really heavy. From North Avenue to Harlem, it's an hour and 5 minutes downtown to O'Hare. Eden's 25 minutes, Lake Hook to the Junction, outbound 35. The Eisenhower, an hour and 15 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, 55 minutes from Manheim, outbound 50 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 45 minutes. Ryan, 32 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, heavy Southwest Highway most of the way to 31st, and Roosevelt to Grand Avenue. Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Are you in foreclosure, behind in the mortgage, underwater with a mortgage? Well, you'd be not alone. In fact, there's 20 million other American families in the same boat as you. And this came about not because these families decided to commit bank fraud, because they were the victims of fraud by the Wall Street investment bankers and the banks that now service the mortgages. But there are some things you do. My partner, I'm Lou Bridges, my partner Scott O and I have put together a firm, a team of people to help people like you. We apply for modifications, we defend a foreclosure, we apply a restructuring, we explore a short sale, and investors who may buy the home and lease it back to you. But whatever your objectives are, you need to have a competent legal counsel. But whatever you do, people, never give up the land. Fight for truth and justice. You do that, and I guarantee you will never be alone. Call us for a free consultation.
Call 224-513-1231 or visit FightIllinoisForeclosures.com. That's 224-513-1231 or FightIllinoisForeclosures.com.
Many of you own or manage growing companies, and you know that your entire business depends on your phones. If your phone service provider struggles to deliver your calls, it can mean lost revenue. That's often the case with an outdated phone system. The solution? Well, it's a company that we use here at AM 560, Innovative Networks. They excel at providing innovative solutions to reinforce your company's phone infrastructure and enhance call flow. And we truly appreciate how comprehensive, diligent, and cost-effective Innovative Networks was in providing solutions that scale as our business expands. Innovative Networks can even replace your outdated phone system at no cost and provide hands-on training to maximize your capabilities. You'll save money and be more focused on growing your business. Here at AM 560, we're thrilled with Innovative Networks. Follow our lead and call Innovative Networks at 312-453-7777. That's an easy number, right, John? 312-453-7777. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. Call 312-453-7777 or visit goforinet.com. That's goforinet.com. 312-453-7777.
Congratulations to all who took the Balance of Nature New Year's Challenge. Success stories are pouring in. So many people have been helped through this incentive that I have asked Balance of Nature to continue this challenge for as long as possible.
I'll tell you what, this stuff is great. I haven't gotten sick. Everybody around me is coming down with that laryngitis, and it seems like it's all over the country. It's like a respiratory tract infection, and people lose their voice. And then it goes away, and then it comes back like 2 weeks later, and it's worse. I teach in a school. Half the teachers here, are sick. They're miserable. And I haven't gotten sick, and I swear it's this stuff. It's this fruits and veggies I'm taking.
Good health is just a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Call now and take the health challenge to get a free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Now that spring has arrived, it's likely you're looking forward to the warmer weather. But if you're a business owner, facilities manager, or maintenance engineer, you risk the same potential problem every year. A complete system failure. In fact, up to half of all commercial air conditioning units fail upon startup each season due to the lack of regular maintenance and repair. Let the professionals at Air Comfort make a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system before there's a problem. A poorly operating air conditioning system results in uneven temperatures and humidity problems, leading to unhealthy mold and mildew growth. Don't compromise your business's overall air quality. Schedule today with Air Comfort. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Even if you're under contract with another provider, let Air Comfort provide your second opinion. After all, there's a reason why hundreds of businesses have trusted Air Comfort with their mechanical maintenance for more than 80 years. That's Air Comfort, a tradition of excellence since 1935.
And now, a moment of objectivism with your Ron Brook and the Ayn Rand Institute.
Polls show Americans don't care about economic inequality. If someone works for his money, our attitude is, good for you. To make us care, opponents of economic inequality resort to a gimmick. It works like this. 1, point to people who are suffering some hardship. 2, then point to people who are doing well. 3, imply the problem is not the hardship, but the gap between those who are doing well and those who aren't. 4, demand we fight the gap by bringing down the high flyers. We need to reject this gimmick. gaps don't matter. We should feel bad for a blind child because he can't see, not because we can. If you want to understand and discover how to oppose the campaign against economic inequality, listen to my show. From the Ayn Rand Institute, I'm Yaron Brook.
This has been a moment of objectivism from the Ayn Rand Institute. To learn more, listen to the Yaron Brook Show, Saturdays at 4 on AM 560, and visit ariradio.com.
Why are Ayn Rand's ideas so compelling? Her worldview, her philosophy, expressed dramatically in her novels Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead, embodies the ideals stated by the Founding Fathers in the Declaration of Independence and sets forth the requirements necessary to achieve a flourishing life. She called her philosophy objectivism and said it was a philosophy for living on Earth. Today, decades after her death, objectivism continues to stir debate and inspire passion for the spirit of individualism and the enduring American dream.
World, say hello to some old friends. It's been a long time, but they remember you. They're my toes, and they've been hidden ever since I got nail fungus. Yeah, nail fungus. I know, embarrassing, right? Really ugly stuff that I just couldn't get rid of. Tried several doctors, took pills, creams, even considered surgery. Of course, with that, you lose your nail, and there's no guarantee that the fungus won't come back. So I tried Clear Touch. Clear Touch is a little handheld device you use at home. It's painless because it uses light. Yes, light to travel fast and deep. I can't believe I went so long hiding my toes when this simple, inexpensive solution was waiting right there at Clear Touch. Clear Touch is even cleared by the FDA because it's safe and works. Yeah, my toes saw the light. So, world, I'd appreciate it if you could pass the word about Clear Touch, the phototherapy solution that works. Call 800-279-7573. That's 800-279-7573. That's 800-279-7573 or cleartouchnails.com.
If you want to work until you drop, reduce your standard of living in retirement, or lose more of your hard-earned money in the stock market, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to generate a steady, predictable income, I'm talking real wealth and financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. A free report is now available that reveals the money-making secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. It reveals how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and wealth-building power without risking your money in the Wall Street casino. To get your free special report, visit bankonyourself.com. That's bankonyourself.com.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, why Donald Trump should cancel today's news conference, and later, why John Cass made my father cry. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy, a vigil held in Chicago to honor the Orlando terror attack victims and the call for peace in that community. A teen shot and killed in Chicago Heights, and a Chicago police officer and firefighter are heroes. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Dave Anthony.
Yesterday was the most horrific day in the history of the city of Orlando.
Yet Mayor Buddy Dyer adds,
I stand here prouder today of our community than ever.
Praising police and others for going in, saving lives, ending that shooting spree at a gay nightclub, killing a gunman who had massacred 49 people and wounded 53 more. Fox's Eben Brown is live in Orlando.
Dave, the bodies are now removed from the nightclub building here. Authorities have identified 48 of 49 victims. A city website lists those victims' names if they've been had their families notified. Meanwhile, questions remain about the shooter, 29-year-old Omar Mateen. He did call 911 in the middle of his attack.
I would say, based on the calls, he was cool and calm when he was making those phone calls to us. There was an allegiance to the Islamic State.
Orlando Police Chief John Mina, Mateen's father, tells reporters he believes his son was angry about seeing gay men show affection in public, but had no religious motives, Dave.
Eben, 120 miles away from you, police are probing Mateen's condo.
There's a wreath on the door, a welcome mat there.
Fox's Hannah Quimmon's right outside it in Fort Pierce, Florida.
His ex-wife described him as mentally disturbed and said she felt like a hostage in her own home. A friend of his said that progressively over time he has become more and more suspicious.
And inside that condo, investigators are going through everything.
We've been collecting a great amount of electronic and physical evidence.
U.S. Attorney Lee Bentley, President Obama has called this terror and hate, and presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton echoed his call for gun control and the need to defend our country at home and abroad. Republican Donald Trump says
she's just following his exact line. She won't utter the words either radical Islam. She won't even utter the words. He won't utter the words. Unless you know the words and unless you know what's going on, you're never going to solve the problem.
Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Clouds and sunshine in Chicago, 65 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel says the city will not be intimidated after a shooting inside a Florida nightclub frequented by the gay community that left 49 victims dead and the shooter. Emanuel said in a Sunday statement he is looking forward to celebrating the city's Pride Parade on June 26. Police leaders say they're stepping up a police presence out of an abundance of caution and not because of any information regarding any threats in the city of Chicago. Governor Bruce Rauner has called for flags to be flown at half-staff. Former Illinois Governor Pat Quinn launches a petition drive to impose a Chicago mayoral term limit and create an elected consumer advocate position. Chicago Democrat announced his efforts on Sunday and says getting 53,000 valid signatures before the August 8 deadline is quite a challenge. An off-duty Chicago police officer and a Chicago firefighter are receiving praise for their rescue of 5 on Lake Michigan. Detective Donovan Jackson and firefighter Rylensky Strong were jet skiing on the city's south side Friday night when they came across a capsized boat, and they transported each victim to shore where emergency crews were waiting. Cubs over Atlanta 13-2. KC beat the White Sox 3-1. The Stanley Cup lifted by the Pittsburgh Penguins after a win over San Jose. The news service of CiCi's Pizza. Can you believe it? CiCi's now has 3 stuffed crust pizzas, original pepperoni, new pretzel, and new bacon stuffed. Try them all and your other CiCi's favorites for $5 and change. The CiCi's buffet just got better. Believe it. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat from the Fox Business Network and a service of Turnkey.pro. Here's Jenny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, a couple of high-tech security companies are merging. Symantec, which makes Norton antivirus software, is buying Blue Coat Systems, a cybersecurity company that makes technology to protect cloud computing. Symantec will pay $4.65 billion for the company. Apple is expected to unveil a smarter Siri digital assistant today, which it will open to third-party developers. Chipotle's customers who no longer eat there may be lost for good, says a Deutsche Bank analyst who cut the company's stock price estimate. Chipotle Mexican Grill has experienced a dramatic sales decline over the last year following an E. coli outbreak. Airbus will be assembling helicopters in China. The copters are for the China market. Airbus says China is gearing up to be the biggest market for helicopters in years to come. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
8:05 in Chicago. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Personal finance is 80% behavior, 20% head knowledge.
Dave Ramsey.
The reason you're in debt is behavior, not math. The way you get out of debt is behavior, change, not math. You can't borrow your way out of debt. How many times have you heard someone say, I had a whole bunch of credit card debt and I paid it off by getting a second mortgage? You didn't pay it off. You moved it.
The Dave Ramsey Show. Weeknights starting at 7, right before Michael Medved at 10. Presented by Wintrust Community Bank on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-467-5125. That's 1-800-467-5125. 1-800-467-5125. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors not available in all states.
8:06 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The eastbound Eden Spur has delays from past Waukegan Road to the Edens. The delays resume at Helston. 21 minutes, Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 35. Kennedy, 50 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 30 from Montrose, 25 in the Express. Outbound 35 minutes to Montrose, an hour to O'Hare. The Eisenhower's an hour and 15 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, 55 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 50 minutes to Manheim, an hour 10 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 45 minutes. Bryan is 32 minutes from 95th to the Loop. Tri-State southbound heavy 21 to 176. Northbound slow Southwest Highway to 31st and Roosevelt to the Grand Avenue curve. Northbound Veterans Memorial slow 75th to Roosevelt, North Avenue to 290. Westbound I-80 slow Gallagher to Briggs, crash on the shoulder. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, partly sunny with a more humid afternoon, high 87. A shower or thunderstorm tonight. Otherwise, mainly cloudy, low 65. Couple of showers and a thunderstorm tomorrow. Mostly cloudy and humid, high 82. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
65 at O'Hare, 64 along Chicago's lakefront. Next news, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next with Tribune Page 2 columnist John Cass in for Dan on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
Good morning. Welcome to your Monday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Oh, God. The terrifying scene, the night of partying turning into tragedy. Bullets flying.
Everyone was screaming and jumping.
Witnesses bolting for the exit, scrambling for safety. The club itself telling everyone to get out and keep running.
There was bodies everywhere. I really didn't. In the parking lot, they were tagging them red, yellow, so that they know who to help first and who not to help first.
The FBI first became aware of Martin in 2013 when he made inflammatory comments to coworkers alleging possible terrorist ties.
We've reached no definitive judgment on the precise motivations of the killer. The FBI is appropriately investigating this as an act of terrorism.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
(312-642-5600) is our number. Talking all morning long about the horrific circumstances, the hate crime/terrorist attack that happened over the weekend. 50 people dead, including the gunman, and 48 so far have been identified. It's just been really a sad, solemn weekend where at our church yesterday we prayed for all the victims, and people in my church held a candlelight vigil last night in Andersonville right outside Midsummer Fest. And they had a pretty good showing, but they're, they feel like their community is under attack. But I feel like we're all under attack.
Yeah,
it isn't just
they're Americans.
Lesbian, gays,
separate.
LGBT. No, we're all Americans,
right.
And we all have to watch our backs.
And
what is our government doing about it? I mean, the FBI, they let this guy slip through their fingers 3 times. Here's Mr. Hopper. He is a special agent in charge who described how the FBI has had meetings in the past with Omar Mateen.
The FBI first became aware of Martin in 2013 when he made inflammatory comments to coworkers alleging possible terrorist ties. The FBI thoroughly investigated the matter, including interviews of witnesses, physical surveillance, and records checks. In the course of the investigation, Mateen was interviewed twice. Ultimately, we were unable to verify the substance of his comments, and the investigation was closed. In 2014, Mateen again came to the attention of the FBI because of possible ties to Monar Abu Salah, an American suicide bomber. The FBI conducted an investigation, including an interview with Mateen. We determined that contact was minimal and did not constitute a substantive relationship or a threat at that time.
But then it gets worse. You have one of Mateen's former coworkers, his name is Daniel Gilroy, coming forward this morning saying that Mateen frequently made homophobic and racial comments, and that he eventually had to quit his job because Mateen was stalking him, was sending him 30 text messages a day and left him phone messages.
There was never a moment where he didn't have anger and rage and
he was always loud and cursing, and anytime either a female or a black person would come by, he would use horrible words.
Yeah, and then we're learning this morning that he went to his employer and said, this guy's unhinged, he's crazy, and they did nothing, he claims, because he's Muslim, and they wanted to be politically correct.
He said that. What we do know is, look, this is the type of personality, naughty, paranoid, angry, woman beater.
Probably a latent homosexual.
Who knows? I don't know. Is susceptible, in my view, to the kind of appeal that an ISIS would have. We have to be very concerned about that and think long term about the next attacks, because they will come. And whether you want to say Islamic terror or you don't, or you want to do what the Democrats are doing and saying it's all about the guns. Everybody is playing their, I don't know, they're like doing their political thing. They're doing their political dance, right? Everybody.
Yeah,
and I'm tired of it.
And Donald Trump, tweeted 3 tweets. 2 were, in my mind, acceptable, saying a really bad shooting in Orlando. But then he went on, he said, I appreciate the congrats for being right on radical Islamic terrorism. I don't want congrats. I want toughness and vigilance. Must be smart.
Well,
he is so self-centered at a time of tragedy. And he tweeted this out before moms even knew if their sons were alive or dead.
Well, I don't know if, Hillary, look, he's thumping his chest. It's a little vulgar, but
no, he's trying to score political points, and I don't like it.
And what about Hillary? Okay, Hillary is doing the whole, and Obama are doing the whole, let's not use the word Islamic.
Mm-hmm.
Let's use the word gun control. So everybody's getting onto the perch that they're safest at. They feel safe, and then they go from there. And what I'm saying is that a lot of us aren't like in either, ideological camp, and maybe we just want to calmly think this through, think about the next attack, because there'll be one.
Well, Donald Trump is supposed to have a big speech today. It was supposed to be attacking Hillary Clinton and how she's unfit to be president. Now they're changing the premise of his speech. It's going to be about national security, immigration, and terrorism. But I think Donald Trump, if he were smart right now, don't have it at all. Cancel it.
Or if you do have it, be a little bit low key about it. I would suggest
he can't do anything low key. Over the weekend, did you see him? He acted very, very presidential at the Faith and Freedom event when he talked about unity.
Freedom of any kind means no one should be judged by their race or their color, and the color of their skin should not be judged that way. And right now we have a very divided nation. We're going to bring our nation together. If I win, we're going to bring our nation together.
Okay, so that was at the Faith and Freedom event. Then he went to Richmond, Virginia, and he was back to his old antics.
Everything's political correct. It's like a bunch of babies, like a bunch of dumb babies. But I'd like to see the Republican leadership get very strong, very sharp, very smart, and be cool. You got to be cool.
And then I have to play it. He doubled down on Elizabeth Warren when he really should just have kept his pie hole shut.
And Pocahontas is not happy. She's not happy. She's the worst.
Oh, yeah. Her new name's Polka now. Hey, I got your Polka.
Pocahontas. I'm doing such a disservice to Pocahontas. It's so unfair to Polka.
Polka. Nice.
But this Elizabeth Warren, I call her Goofy, Elizabeth Warren, she's one of the worst senators in the entire United States Senate.
And I just
All right,
had
wait
to
a
get that in
minute.
because one
She
moment he's
used
presidential.
the reason why they call her Pocahontas.
Yeah, it's because Harvard
is because she
law,
tried
didn't
to
they?
get into at least there's an allegation. She tried to get into college under the using her Indian
she's a
heritage
Native
that she didn't
American.
have, her Native American. So that's why she's called that. And for people to criticize Trump for bringing that up when Elizabeth Warren used it, I find that to be problematic.
To the phone lines we go, 312-642-5600. Let's start with our good friend Sean from Elmwood Park. Good morning, Sean.
Well, one thing, too, about Elizabeth Warren is she's a hell of a house flipper. She's probably way more successful than people who do radio shows on Saturday. But listen, I don't know if it's that I'm cursed with the ability to reason or that propaganda stands out like a supermodel in a border town to me. But when you hear wives diagnosed with bipolar disorder as if she just knew her husband right before they divorced. The entire religion, in my opinion, of Islam, that portrays itself as this religion of peace and champion for the people, and in neighborhoods where it's really practiced, they throw homosexuals off roofs like Super Bowls, where they behead their own because they're not religious enough, where they refuse to allow their daughters and their wives to learn and drive and dress. That whole religion, to me, is bipolar. And what's even more disgusting is when politicians, overweight and sconced with security guards, go on national TV and attack my freedoms as if somehow my freedom is to blame for this very attack. Is similar than why not blame Walt Disney? Because if Walt Disney doesn't turn that swamp Orlando into a boom town, this would have never happened. So let's blame good old Walt and Mickey Mouse for populating and making Orlando an absolute success.
All right, thanks. You know what?
So
you know what?
I guess he's not going to be calling Mitt Romney to support Mitt Romney in his takedown of Trump,
No,
right?
he's not. But think about this. The ex-wife who we've heard from a few times, if she would have filed charges against her then husband at the time, he wouldn't have been able to buy those guns because he would have a felony against him. So keep that in mind, too. Thanks, Sean, for the phone call. Let's go to Tom, who joins us from Deer Park. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Amy. Tough act to follow, Sean, but I'll do my best.
It's okay.
I'm
I
here
suffer
too,
with it every
dude.
day. Oh, yeah, John's
Say
here
good
too.
morning, John.
Good morning, John. How are you?
I'm offended, man.
It's very nice to talk to you. It's an honor. What I want to say is the terrible events can lead to terrible remedies, and we're talking about isms. And first, one of your callers today mentioned December 8th and the Japanese, and there's no doubt. But what we wound up doing in America was interning 150,000 Japanese Americans, okay? And we're still trying to reparate them for that. Another caller talked about communism, and communism didn't quite have the geographical borders. It really was, again, an ism, an idea, and it was being battled on many fronts, militarily and intelligence-wise. But the main problem with how we battled communism was internal, and it was led by Joseph McCarthy, Senate Chairman of Intelligence Committee.
Are you saying that he was a hero?
I'm sorry, John?
Are you saying that he was a hero?
McCarthy?
Yeah.
He's probably closer to a traitor. They violated everything.
Right.
All right. Thanks, Tom, for the phone call.
Thanks, Tommy.
Let's go quickly to Harry, who joins us from Barrington. Good morning, Harry.
Hi. How you doing this morning, guys?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks. There's only one answer to this. The only thing that could have stopped this would have been other people there with guns that were good people. You know, they are calling for the exact opposite of what needs to happen. This is a soft zone where concealed carry is prohibited.
Mm-hmm.
And if there would have been good people in there that were properly trained that could conceal carry, because who wants to be in a shooting gallery when a nut like that goes in there?
Exactly. But
He probably would have gotten a number of people, but then he would have been taken out by 5 or 6 people right away.
Thanks, Harry, for the phone call. And what we have to keep in mind, so this started at 2 a.m., and he got into an altercation, a fight, and according to one source, he got into a gun battle with an off-duty Orlando police officer who was a private security officer. Was he able to carry? And that's what we're going to have to find out. The off-duty cop?
Yeah.
We hope so. But they got into a battle, and he got in, and then all hell broke loose. Let's go to Ed, who's from LaGrange. Good morning, Ed.
Hi. First of all, I think Sean needs new joke writers. But a couple of things to point out. Amy, if he had been charged with domestic violence, it's a misdemeanor. It's not a felony.
Okay,
I think
thank
we
you
need
for
to
pointing
focus
that
on the fact that this guy, all we can hear is he's a homophobic and he's a racist and he's a nut. And that's where the concentration should be. As far as his ties to Islam, those are tenable at best. His father said he wasn't religious. And I actually trust the FBI. They did 3 investigations at him and came away saying the guy is not connected to the Islamic State.
You know what, Ed? I agree. I think that he's an ISIS wannabe, that he's just a
But that's
loser
the
because
point,
ISIS
guys.
sympathizers,
Both you guys.
commended him, congratulated for him, but they didn't claim that he's theirs.
But listen, both of you.
Yes,
I'm
listening.
sorry.
You listen to me, young
I'm
lady.
sorry. I wouldn't say that.
Never.
I would only. I would never say that. But you know what? That's the personality that ISIS wants. They're not going to send over a hit squad. Okay, they know people like this are out there, and they're out there dangling in the internet, and they're saying, "Come on, man, we give you a cause. We will legitimize your stupidity, your fear, all that other stuff, your paranoia, or in your view, possible latent
homosexuality,
panic, or whatever that is, right? And we will legitimize, and that's the problem."
And that's why the FBI on alert this morning, and everyone should, because it is the holy month of Ramadan, and ISIS is encouraging people now to go and commit acts of violence.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Your hair is so thick, I want to run my fingers through it. You're so blessed to have thick hair. Do you know that?
Thank you, Betty. Did you hear that? She wants to run
Betty, is that inappropriate, Betty? Betty Cass, is the forecast appropriate for today?
Yes, the forecast is quite appropriate, Amy,
Thanks,
because today, warmer with partial sunshine, more humid this afternoon, high of 87, and mainly cloudy tonight with a shower or thunderstorm, low of 65. Now to Jim Telemonte in traffic.
John, if only I had the thick, well-coiffed locks you have, and not to mention the talent with the pros.
There you go.
The expressways really is not too bad for the most part. The Eisenhower is the worst spot this morning. It's still an hour and 15 minutes Thorndale to downtown, and 55 minutes from Manheim. And outbound's rough, too. 45 minutes to Manheim, an hour and 5 minutes to Thorndale. The Edens is just 21 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 35. Kennedy holding at 45 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 55. Stevenson, 55 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 45 minutes. Ryan, 32 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound, heavy 21 to 176. Northbound, 83rd to 31st, and Roosevelt to Grand Avenue. Veterans Memorial, slow from 63rd to the Reagan Tollway, Butterfield to Roosevelt, North Avenue to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Is your balance off due to a head injury? Is your head injury due to sports, auto accident, military service, a trip, slip, or fall? Get back on track. Researchers at the University of Wisconsin-Madison are conducting a clinical research study and are in need of participants who have difficulty with balance as a result of their head injury. If you're between the ages of 18 and 65, have experienced a mild or moderate head injury over 1 year ago, and now have difficulty with balance, you may qualify. Please visit headinjurytrial.com for more information and to find out if you qualify for this clinical research opportunity. Limited space is available, so please visit headinjurytrial.com or call 877-861-4652. Compensation of up to $2,000 is available for qualified participants. Visit headinjurytrial.com or call 877-861-4652.
CertaPro painters are here for every stage of your life, from moving into a new home, creating the ideal nursery, to reinventing your living space. CertaPro painting experts create the perfect setting while you do life. They came to our home and brightened our walls and our moods so very quiet they wouldn't wake a baby. But the best part? They clean up after themselves so you don't have to do it. And now that spring is here, it is the perfect time to spruce up your home's exterior. Take a look at your home. Do you see chipping, peeling, fading? Well, leave it to CertaPro painting experts to refresh, renew, and protect your biggest investment, your home. Now is the time to call for your free estimate and schedule your exterior painting project. 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GOCERTA. That's CERTA with a C. Or visit CertaPro.com today. CertaPro.com. CertaPro painters, we do painting, you do life. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
AM 560, The Answer.
Before we get to your phone calls, a bit of breaking news regarding the shooter, Omar Mateen. Let's get the latest from Mike Scott. Mike, what do you have?
Amy and Jim, our friend Jim Sciutto, who is the chief national security correspondent for CNN, just put out on his Twitter feed this morning. He has confirmed through his State Department sources that the Orlando shooter traveled to Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates in 2011 and 2012. Two U.S. officials telling, again, Jim Sciutto at CNN, that the shooter apparently had traveled to the Middle East several years ago. And also another interesting report from the national security correspondent for Politico, that a local gun shop in Florida, unidentified at this point, refused to sell the shooter body armor a few weeks ago when he went in to try and purchase because of his contacts with the FBI. Well, we have not heard officially from law enforcement sources about that contact, but the reporter put it out on firm sources that incident happened a few weeks ago.
All right. Thanks so much, Mike Scott, for that update. And then you think about Omar Mateen and those 3 interviews with the FBI, but yet he still last week was able to purchase a handgun and to purchase an assault rifle with high-capacity magazines. I mean, he must have fired off 150 rounds in there. So he became, this was a well-planned attack.
One man could do that.
Yep. That's why I was surprised it was one person, but he had some financial backing, or we think. We'll know later if he was connected to any terrorist network. Let's go to Owen, who joins us from Willowbrook. Good morning, Owen.
Hi. The FBI was warned by the Russians about the Boston bomber. Now we find out that they interviewed this guy. And what almost makes you wonder is how politically correct is the FBI?
I know. This is our tax dollars at work, and they're supposed to be keeping us safe, and they're not.
We talked to Katie McFarland about this earlier, right?
Yes, and we also, though, more importantly,
scrubbing. Did they scrub Muslim or Islam from threat assessments? So you try to be political.
And we also spoke with Bill Gavin, former FBI assistant director, worked with the agency for 28 years, and said that their hands are tied because lawmakers and the Department of Justice have to tell them how they do their jobs and what the criteria is.
Isn't that good? We don't want a secret police working independently.
I don't know.
Our leaders, I don't care what our politics
I just feel like the FBI this morning has egg on their face.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I have struggled with irritable bowel syndrome for 40 years. Really struggled with it. And I want you to know that since I have been taking Balance of Nature, I don't have it anymore. After 40 years, I'm 75 years old, and after 40 years of struggling with this, and, early on taking all kinds of medication and this, that, and the other thing, back in October, I was able to cancel my appointment with the gastroenterologist. Your products have made my life. They have improved the quality of my life so tremendously. I can't be grateful enough. So please thank you all, and please, if you ever have a chance to, please thank Dr. Howard.
Good health is just a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Call now and take the health challenge to get a free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, we will discuss more about the shooting massacre in Orlando and how it affected last night's Tony Awards, believe it or not. And a very well-known Christian singer was also shot in Orlando 3 miles away from where that happened. And the media isn't covering that she was a Christian. But first, let's go back into the newsroom and say good morning to Mike Scott.
Amy and John, good morning. Clouds and sunshine, 65 degrees. And the latest from Orlando this morning as authorities confirm the gunman who killed 49 at a popular gay nightclub early yesterday did pledge allegiance to ISIS. Orlando Police Chief John Mina telling reporters that Omar Mateen spoke with 911 operators and pledged his allegiance to the terrorist group. Mateen killed 49 inside the club, injured 53 more. He was killed in a shootout with police. One expert in terror this morning is drawing comparisons between the attack on an Orlando nightclub and December's San Bernardino shooting.
It wasn't random. Obviously, it does seem like in all cases there was a very specific target of some kinds that they were taking out, that they were very, very well armed in the sense that they were going for mass casualties.
Kevin Grisham is with the Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism at California State University, San Bernardino. Hillary Clinton says she's remembering the victims and families of this weekend's terror attacks.
This is a terrible personal tragedy for all of them, as well as a real shock and tragedy for our country.
Clinton on NBC's Today Show this morning. The security company that the Orlando nightclub attacker worked for says found nothing of concern in its latest background check of him in 2013. Mayor Rahm Emanuel says the city will not be intimidated after the shooting at the Florida nightclub. Emanuel said in a Sunday statement he looks forward to celebrating the city's Pride Parade on June 26. An off-duty Chicago police officer and a Chicago firefighter receiving high praise for their rescue of 5 on Lake Michigan. Detective Donovan Jackson and firefighter Rylensky Strong were jet skiing late Friday night when they came across a capsized boat. Then they transported each victim to shore where emergency crews were waiting. Cubs over Atlanta 13-2. Kansas City beat the White Sox 3-1. WNBA Phoenix beat the Sky. The news a service of Staples. Staples has lower prices on ink and toner and in-stock guarantee that you always get what you need fast. In-stock guarantee does apply to in-store selection only. Out-of-stock ink and toner will be ordered from an in-store kiosk with $10 discount plus free shipping. Limit 1 cartridge per customer. 8:33, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher is dumbfounded by the anti-Trump protesters.
Trump supporter being pelted by eggs, pregnant woman being knocked to the ground. Are you ready for this? Not one arrest. How do you beat people and commit these kinds of acts of anarchy and not an arrest? And still waiting for the media to react appropriately. We're going to wait a long time.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Galaxy's free sale. Free installation, free design, and free financing.
773-783-8300. Call Galaxy.
Hey, sorry I'm late. I'm the chair for the company picnic committee, and I'm overwhelmed with finding the perfect catering partner.
Don't be freaked out by that. Tasty Catering has done our company picnic every year for the last 5 years. I actually went to Tasty Catering's kitchen first to taste the food. They serve juicy burgers right from the grill, fresh salads, awesome sides, and fun foods for the kids. Last year, we even had delicious brisket and an entire pig roast.
Can they handle all the details? There's not much time to plan.
Planning was even easier. Tasty Catering handled every detail, from serving pieces to inflatables for the kids, the DJ, and of course, the bar area.
That's exactly what we're looking for.
Just go to tastycatering.com. The pricing was right, and our CFO signed off on the contract immediately.
The best company picnics start at tastycatering.com. View picnic menus and locations, entertainment options, and more. That's tastycatering.com.
Psoriasis and vitiligo are serious diseases. You've tried everything and have been disappointed. Now there's X-Track, a breakthrough treatment that provides long-lasting, safe relief. X-Track is FDA cleared for the treatment of psoriasis and vitiligo and is endorsed by thousands of dermatologists and hospitals because it works. Clinical studies show immediate results with up to 95% clearance. The in-office visits are fast, painless, with virtually no side effects. With thousands of providers treating patients all over the country, X-Track is covered by all major insurance companies and Medicare. We'll help you find a doctor close by, and there is no cost to you until you see results. Get your life back. Live free. Live X-Track clear.
For your no-cost treatment, call now 800-972-3143. That's 800-972-3143. 800-972-3143 or visit xtracradio.com. Qualified patients, certain restrictions apply, results may vary.
8:36. Let's get an update on the roads in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Southbound 53 has delays from Dundee to Northwest Highway with a crash in the left lane. Northbound, it's a Gapers delay from Euclid to Northwest Highway. Edens Expressway, eastbound on the spur, it's heavy from Waukegan Road. Then delays are from Skokie to Lake Avenue with crash in the left lane. 22 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 35. The Kennedy, 50 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, 35 from Montrose, no savings in the Express, outbound 50 minutes to O'Hare. The Eisenhower's an hour and 10 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, outbound an hour 5. Stevenson, 55 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 45. Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive delays, southbound Belmont to Fullerton and 18th to the Stevenson, northbound from the Stevenson to Jackson. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, warmer day ahead, more humid this afternoon, high 87. Cloudy with a shower or thunderstorm overnight, low 65. Currently 65 at O'Hare. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next with Tribune Page 2 columnist John Cass sitting in for Dan this morning on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Power Trading Radio. Heard Sundays at 2 p.m. Brought to you each week by Online Trading Academy.
Hey, before you read about it on Facebook or Twitter, well, hear about it from your friends. Find out what today's big stories really mean with me, Sean Hannity, today at 2, right here on AM 560. The Answer.
John Cass just asked me, what are we doing here? And I said, we're going to take calls. We're going to talk.
It's like
so saddle up. Put your headphones on.
All right, Casso's
ready.
ready.
So quickly, did you watch the Tony Awards?
I missed it. Tell me about it, though.
Oh, no. Wow, you seem really sincere.
Listen, if there's Game of Thrones
no.
and Tony Awards, I'm going Game of Thrones.
Are you? Well, last night the Tony Awards were on, and they had a moment of silence for the victims in Orlando. But the cast of Hamilton, guess what they decided to opt out of? They decided not to do a scene with muskets, where they fire off muskets, because they were afraid that it was too soon, after the Orlando shooting. The people in the audience might have been afraid and think that it was a real terrorist attack. Because what happened in Orlando, what happened in Orlando was it was Latin night, and the first, dozens of rounds that were fired, people thought it was part of the play or part of the act.
Because it was Latin night and they heard gunfire,
they thought it was part of the music.
Club thought it was musical.
Yeah, they thought it was part
That's
like
pathetic.
Well, there's a lot of songs that have gunshots in them. But anyway, James Gordon.
Gangsta.
It said this, but at the onset of the Tony Awards.
Our hearts go out to all of those affected by this atrocity. All we can say is you are not on your own right now. Your tragedy is our tragedy. Theatre is a place where every race, creed, sexuality and gender is equal, is embraced and is loved. Hate will never win.
Got that? Hate will never win. And speaking of hate, over in Orlando, the night before the mass shooting, there was a singer called Christina Grimmie. Are you familiar with her? She's on The Voice. She came in third place on The Voice, and she's a Christian. She has a YouTube channel. That's how I became familiar with her. Excellent singer. And
Christian?
She's a Christian.
Okay.
Yes. And the mass, mainstream media didn't bring that up when they were talking about her, because she was killed by one of her stalkers who she was at a show Friday night in Orlando. Yeah, she was signing autographs. He went up, he shot her, killed her, and then Christina's brother tackled him, and then the gunman turned the gun on himself. But she had such an amazing voice.
Why would
I can't live a life running for my life. I will always want you. I came in like a wrecking ball.
If you get a chance, you should watch this entire performance. She was really spectacular. But she was a Christian, and on her blog, she wrote, "Why do you call yourself a Christian?" And she went into what it means to be a child of God, and she was really just a wonderful person. People left that out when they were talking about her, and then the mass shooting happened. Because sometimes it's not cool to be a Christian.
You mean, but
sometimes it's cooler to be an atheist than a Christian.
But why would the media leave it out? Because they are uncomfortable with it.
With Christianity.
Yes.
I mean, angelic voice, really powerful. But you're right, people, it's an uncomfortable topic, and it's also uncomfortable for our president to talk about the Muslim religion and how some people in the Muslim religion are radicalized and they want to kill, but he can't say those words. It's not possible for him to do that. Yeah. Why? Because we're never going to get there with him.
Well, you know what? On the other hand, because they don't want to have a war. I understand why. He doesn't want us to think about having a war with Islam. But the left is, you know, I've been tweeter fighting, whatever you call it, with a friend of mine who's totally totally on the left. And it's just that they're unable to discuss Islam and terror. They're like they're like the Islam protecting group on the left. On the right, they want, let's go to war with Islam. And in the middle, there's a lot of people, you know, who are trying to figure this out. That's all I'm saying.
Your phone calls 312-642-5600. Let's go to Scott, who joins us from the west side of Chicago. Good morning, Scott.
Hi. Good morning, Amy and John. It's always a pleasure to hear you filling in on the radio station.
Thanks, Scott.
My point is, Amy and John, that I don't believe that it's an extreme view to hold these beliefs for killing of gays and for a lot of the tenets that the Muslim religion has. I think it is mainstream. We just don't hear about it a lot. I'm reminded of the Muslims cheering on 9/11 in New York, and also when I see the Muslim women running around in burqas, that I find it hard to believe that they don't agree with some of these acts of terrorism that are occurring. I think that the views are more mainstream than we want to believe.
I understand your point, but there is no evidence that there was cheering in New York.
Well, there is evidence. Martin Brazier did an interview with some Muslims a long time ago, and they stated that they were regular, everyday people, and they stated that they agreed with it, that the Quran calls for it, and it's a fact that we're burying our heads in the sand, and we don't want to admit it.
All right, thanks, Scott, for the phone call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Frank now, who joins us from Palatine. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning. Great show. Good to be talking. That's what it takes. That's what it's going to take. Number one, the FBI was my hero when I was a young kid. I'm a 72-year-old man, and there used to be a guy by Efren Zimilis Jr. The FBI always caught the bad guys, but the FBI had the back of the president. The President of the United States does not give the FBI the authority, the ability to do anything. It started under Clinton, when Janet Reno said we have to be able to prove in court that someone did something wrong. You can't do that. Rahm Emanuel said there are 1,300 known problem guys, gangbangers in Chicago that are committing most of the murder. They said it again with this last guy to whack somebody. Why don't they pick them up?
I know, they have this list.
The FBI cannot do anything. They can't do their job.
And we had a former FBI assistant director, Bill Gavin, on earlier saying we do what the government tells us, what the Department of Justice, they follow their guidelines that they set.
But
we're so politically correct. I'm so sick of it.
Listen, though, that's like telling me that because Obama's the president and that he runs the FBI, that he will not, that Hillary Clinton won't be indicted for email problems.
Right.
Are you telling me that? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think she's going to be indicted.
Wow, but then
they might recommend a charge to the FBI, but Loretta Lynch is there. I know President Obama, and he already backed her publicly.
But he backs her.
Yes.
He backs her. Then while he's having the FBI investigate her.
Yeah, because it's all about not having Donald Trump and the Republicans take over the White House.
That's a banana republic.
By the way, because of what happened over the weekend in Orlando, President Obama and Hillary Clinton, they're supposed to campaign Wednesday in Wisconsin. That has been put on hold.
They'll campaign Thursday in Orlando?
Let's go to Lee, who joins us from Hammond, Indiana. Good morning, Lee.
Hi, guys. I think the Obama and the left is never going to call it Islamic radicalism because it goes against our open borders, post-nationalistic policy. These guys are talking about a world without borders. And now they're talking about prohibiting assault weapons. Well, we tried prohibition back in the 20s. It didn't work out too well. And we've got a border down there in Mexico that's so porous. We got carloads of drugs coming across it. What makes them think they're not going to create a huge black market for these weapons? And then on top of that, France, Germany, and some of these other countries got some of the toughest anti-gun laws in the world.
So does Chicago.
These attacks there.
Yeah, we already have laws on the books, but people aren't following the laws. That's the problem. And in Chicago, it's straw purchases. That's just the worst part.
The worst stupid idea in politics is after a terrorist attack or thought to be a terrorist attack, you're going to tell people you can't arm yourselves. It's really ridiculous. It's stupid politics. It's why Bill Clinton, even though he's the weaselest person I've ever heard of in my life, he understood that gun control was not a winning issue for Democrats, because it's not.
Let's go to Big Lou. Lou, who joins us from Chicago Heights. Good morning, Lou.
Okay, the problem with the government is when the government fails, they blame something else. They never take responsibility themselves. This guy here, the FBI investigated him, so now we blame the gun. The education system fails in this country, so we blame the fact that we don't pay teachers enough money.
Right.
And that's where the problem comes in at. And that's how come a guy like Trump is where he is today.
Big Lou, it's like they want everybody to wear the jacket, but the guy that should wear the jacket.
I am so frustrated with this because this has happened for the last 20 years in this country. I mean, we go back to 9/11. They knew, they had an idea what was going on. Jamie Gorelick from the Clinton administration puts this law so the FBI can't talk to the CIA, and now we have 9/11. Could the fact that information was able to pass between these two organizations, could they have prevented it? I think they have a better chance of doing that than what we had on 9/11.
All right, thanks, Big Lou, for the phone call. Let's go to Shane, who joins us from the south side of Chicago. Good morning, Shane.
Good morning, John, Amy. First off, my heart and prayers go out to the family that lost those loved ones yesterday. And also, hats off to the gun store who denied the gentleman, well, not gentleman, the scumbag body armor, which kind of ties into my point. If we look at one common denominator that all these mass shootings have, Newtown, Aurora, Georgia Tech, San Bernardino, it's not the fact that they have weapons. Everyone should have their right to bear arms. But they all stockpiled thousands and thousands of rounds of ammunition. That should be a red flag to FBI and everything, that whoever is doing this has horrible intentions. No private citizen needs thousands of rounds of ammunition to defend themselves. You don't need 6,000 rounds to do that.
Well, I always think you don't need high-capacity magazines.
What's the Second Amendment about? Is it for hunting or for protecting yourself from a gangbanger? What is it?
Well, what did our forefathers, why did they create the Second Amendment?
I'm asking.
But you don't need 6,000 rounds to do it, though.
It wasn't for either. It wasn't for hunting. And it
was for protecting your land.
It wasn't for
against militias.
It was protecting. It was to protect your freedom and liberty against a government that would take it from you. That's what it's about, guys.
All right, let's go to Steve, who joins us from Huntley. Thank you, John. You say it so
I know.
lovingly and fatherly.
Do I sound like?
I'm going to get you a Father's Day
down
card
from
now
the
on
mountain,
Sunday.
John.
Talking to you too.
Hey,
hi, Steve.
Amy, I think you're wrong about the FBI having egg on their face. I think we all have egg on our face. You, me, we all do, because we refuse to talk about the thing that has to be talked about, especially now. And that's, we knew this murderer was a bad guy. What do we do? Do we deport him? Do we put him in an insane asylum?
Well, he was born here.
What do we do with this guy?
No, it's hard.
Well,
I mean, his
how
coworker
about-
said he's crazy. Can you imagine being stalked by your coworker and 50 text messages a day and phone calls, and because he said he was homophobic and
I know,
he
but
say
somebody
things
could
about
say-
African Americans, about women.
Somebody
he
could
was
say I'm
unhinged.
crazy.
Well, I already
Are you
filed a report for
Am I
you,
going
John
to prison
Cass.
now? Thanks a lot, Amy.
We'll see.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Crazy Man Cass, that's going to be your new name. And you've got the weather forecast for today.
That's right. I do have the weather forecast for today. Mostly cloudy. Oh, no, that's tomorrow. Today it's warm with partial sunshine. More humid this afternoon, high of 87. Mainly cloudy tonight with a shower or thunderstorm, a low of 65. And right now, it's Jim Talamonte with the traffic.
Thank you, Mr. Cass. Always a pleasure. Good morning, Amy. Southbound 53, we're still seeing delays from Dundee to Northwest Highway with a crash in the left lane. Northbound heavy from Euclid to Northwest. Edens is fine inbound, but outbound 35 minutes from Montrose to Lake Cook. Kennedy, 55 minutes now. O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 45. The Eisenhower, an hour and 5 minutes. Thorndale to the Loop, outbound an hour 10 with heavy delays on the extension. Stevenson, 55 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 45. Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound, stop and go Toohey to 190. There's a car fire. 2 right lanes are closed. Northbound still Archer to 31st and Roosevelt, most of the way to 190. Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Father's Day shopping can be tricky. What Dad wants, another tie or a coffee mug. This year, get him something he'll actually use for Father's Day. Get your dad a limited edition shaving kit from Harry's.com. They start at just $40 and include a razor stand, foaming shave gel, replacement blades, and a travel blade cover. Why Harry's.com? I've been shaving with the products from Harry's for a couple weeks now, and I'm enjoying a smooth, comfortable shave. Baby's bottom over here. Give your dad a shaving kit from Harry's.com. It comes in a beautiful box that doesn't even need to be wrapped, and you've got the option to add custom engraving and a personal card. Your Father's Day shopping couldn't be any easier. No need to thank me. Just go to Harry's.com right now and use the promo code PROFT. That's me. And Harry's will give you $5 off your first purchase. Don't wait. Free shipping for Father's Day ends today. Go to Harry's.com, Harrys.com, and use the promo code PROFT at checkout to get $5 off. That's Harrys.com, promo code PROFT. Do it today.
You can hit it, run into it, knock it over, and it still won't fall over. What is this, you ask? It's the Wobble Light by ProBuild. It's a self-righting, portable, and virtually indestructible industrial work light. Ideal for applications requiring temporary high-output lighting for construction, manufacturing, utility, and much, much more. The Wobble Light, the brainchild of ProBuild Professional Lighting, is the only self-right job site light available in the market. If you're in an industry that requires professional-grade portable lighting, turn to Chicago's very own ProBuild Professional Lighting, manufacturers of portable job site lighting, designed for the pros. To view their catalog and much more, visit ProBuiltLighting.com. All lighting products are sold through construction, industrial, and electrical supply distributors. So ask for the Wobble Light by ProBuilt Professional Lighting. Visit ProBuiltLighting.com. A proud supporter of Operation Support Our Troops America and AM 560. For customer service, call 877-707-0800.
Look, you can't go a week without hearing how the Ford F-150 is way ahead, leaving every other truck choking on its gravel. And when it comes to safety, the truck that leads the pack is the high-strength military-grade aluminum alloy body Ford F-150. F-150 is the only pickup to earn both of the most important safety awards in America. First, it earned the government's highest overall safety rating, 5 stars, for all sides and all cab configurations. And now, F-150s earn the IIHS top safety pick on Super Cab and Super Crew with optional forward collision warning. The competition? Yeah, right. Just don't ask for both safety awards, because that ain't happening, pal. Let's review. F-150's the only pickup to earn both awards, once again raising the stakes for what a truck should be. This is the safest Ford F-150 ever, and every other truck is history.
Government 5-star safety ratings are part of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's new car assessment program. Tests include driver and passenger front side and side barrier pull tests.
AM 560, The Answer.
Congratulations to all who took the Balance of Nature New Year's Challenge. Success stories are pouring in. So many people have been helped through this incentive that I have asked Balance of Nature to continue this challenge for as long as possible.
I'll tell you what, this stuff is great. I haven't gotten sick. Everybody around me is coming down with that laryngitis, and it seems like it's all over the country. It's like a respiratory tract infection, and people lose their voice, and then it goes away, and then it comes back like 2 weeks later, and it's worse. I teach in a school. Half the teachers here, are sick. They're miserable, and I haven't gotten sick, and I swear it's this stuff. It's this fruits and veggies I'm taking.
Good health is just a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Call now and take the health challenge to get a free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
You deserve a professional property management company that places your needs ahead of their own, 24/7. I'm Bill DeMille of Chicagoland Community Management. We take pride in building lasting relationships. Our management team consists of licensed professionals whose property management, maintenance, and repair experience benefits our clients. We're recognized for quality, service, and dedication to our clients and treat your investment like it's our own. Our belief and mission is to keep your costs as low as possible, resulting in a high retention rate. Through tough negotiations and hard work, we successfully saved one association $700,000 over 3 years, according to the board's testimonials and documentation. You can contact us at 312-729-1300 or visit our website at chicagoland-inc.com. That's